So in one of my first couple contracts working as a crew member on cruise ships, I had a boyfriend on board who was very close with his family, specifically his cousin. Whenever we were together, his cousin would call him and he would answer the phone and have us talk to each other for a little bit. Now, she barely spoke a lick of English, okay? So I would talk to her, say, hey, how are you doing? Good. And she would say the same thing, and that's really all that we could say to each other. And then they would continue and talk in their native tongue for who knows how long. I never really minded because I think that family is so important, and I was always calling people at home as well. So he starts soft launching his cousin coming to visit and stay as a guest. I'm really excited to meet her because she's really cool. He talks about her a lot, and we do talk on the phone every now and then, but just like, hey, how are you? Because again, she doesn't understand English and I don't know whatever language they spoke. So before his cousin comes, he's just telling me, hey, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with her. I'm going to stay in her cabin, which is totally fine because a lot of crew members have family members that visit. And whenever somebody does have a family member visit, they will always go sleep in the guest cabin because crew cabins, crew cabins are so bad. They're so bad. They're so uncomfy. And the guest cabins, ugh, luxury. So everybody is very excited for family members to visit because that means we get a really comfy bed to sleep in. So when he's like, yeah, I'm going to stay in my cousin's cabin, I didn't think anything of it. I was like, yeah, do your thing, do your thing. He gets really weird about it the morning that she arrives. By the way, the morning that she gets here, he's like talking about holidays and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna come to Nashville and I'm going to spend the holidays with your family. This man told me that he loved me within 3 days. Red flag! His cousin comes on board, he goes to greet her, and I'm really busy working all day, but imagine my surprise when I am walking to my shift and I see them making out. I see him making out with his cousin! So I find out that that's not his cousin, that's his girlfriend, that he's been telling me that is his cousin the whole entire time, and I believed him. I believed him because they look so much alike. They looked so much alike, and there was not one trace of her on any of his social media. Before I pursued him, I made sure he was single, okay? I was stalking the Facebook, I was stalking the Instagram, I was looking in the Instagram comments, and there were a lot of hearts from a lot of people, okay? But I don't know or speak or read his language, so I didn't understand anything that anybody was saying. There was a lot of hearts from a lot of different people. This guy's very close with his family, so I'm like, that's not a red flag. I don't see anything that is suspicious, I guess. So long story short, I try to cut him off and I tell him that I want absolutely nothing to do with him and I never want to see him again, and he does not respect that, and he's like, oh, well, we were in an arranged marriage. Guys, they met on Hinge. We're in an arranged marriage, and I've never known what it was like to love somebody until I met you. Yeah, so he's telling me while his girlfriend is on board and he is staying in his girlfriend's cabin, whenever his girlfriend isn't around, he's finding me and he's like, I want to marry you. I want to be with you. I'm going to leave her for you. And I'm like, get out of my face. Anyway, long story short, part 2, I told him that if he didn't tell her, then I would. And he begged me not to tell his girlfriend. So I didn't. He was like, I'm going to tell her. I promise I'm going to tell her. So I believe him. I let him get away with so much because to this day I have no idea if he told her. She blocked me. After his contract ended, they traveled the world together and she blocked me, so I couldn't text her and tell her what happened. And I know that they're broken up now, but God bless, I hope he told her. I really do. Let me know if you want any more ship drama because I have stories to tell. Any topic, any subject, anything. A lot of people keep on asking me for ship drama and I will happily give it to you.
Things my ex-best friend did and I still stayed. Okay, I had to write them down because there were so many and you like trauma block them. Like, it's crazy how I still stayed after this, but okay. Every time we would hang out after she was building a house, I had to hear for months how it was a $650,000 house they built, and she'd show pictures. Every single hangout, hey, I'm happy for a friend. I always had to reassure and show happiness that I was happy she built this house. But every single hangout for like 3 months, it was always a topic that came up and always something I had to give recognition about how amazing that was. Okay, second, every time we would meet new people, that would be the only topic that would be talked about aside from, so we'd be sitting at a bar and she would always chat people up like next to her. Like, it was never, you know, sometimes like I wanted girl time. I wanted to hang out. Like, I wanted it to just be us. Like, she's married and everything, you know. I was single, but I wanted like girl time. she'd always have to make friends with whoever's next to her. And sometimes I'd be sitting there because, like, no offense, like, sometimes I don't just want to talk to, like, the random 60, 70-year-old that's, like, sitting next to us. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, she'd make friends with them. And then that's all she would talk about is her $650,000 house. And this is the worst part. She would always mention how her husband's a white lawyer. Oh, my husband's a white lawyer, you know, to other, like, races, which, like, was really weird to me. Like, why, why are you bragging up your husband's a white lawyer? And the craziest thing is she is not white. So it was kind of like this superiority complex of, like, thinking like she's proud that she's married to a white lawyer. That's, like, always what she said. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you can just say lawyer, like, that's an accomplishment. But second, like, race aside, everything aside, that's just still weird that you're meeting someone random, and it wouldn't even be like, hey, what does your husband do for work? No, she'd be like, yeah, my husband's a white lawyer. I was so embarrassed. These are some even worse ones, if you want to know. So she was getting a new engagement ring. She's been married for like 12 years, but she was getting a new engagement ring. Another thing I had to hear for 3 months, and we would hang out like once or twice a week. And I had to hear every single time how it's the best diamonds in the world. And it's the finest cut of diamond. And it's the shiniest. And it's the clearest. And it's the purest form. And it costs, $40,000. And just, like, oh my gosh, someone at work, like, their diamond doesn't even shine in the light. What? She would say, you've never noticed, like sitting in a classroom in school or whatever, like, your teacher's rings and, like, if they shined, like, reflected off the light or whatever? I said, no, like, I'm not looking at people's, like, rings and, like, sizing them up. I don't know, that's just so weird to me. And she'd be like, what? You don't do that? Like, you don't notice? Like, if a diamond doesn't shine in the light, like, it's not quality. Like, it's not quality. I'm like, I just admire people's diamonds. I've never, like, looked into the analytics of it. Anyways, had to hear that one probably for, like, 4 or 5 months as she was creating it. Not worst thing. The last one is the worst thing. The last one's the worst thing. But I got engaged, and suddenly she got jealous. And again, I'm just being kind and nice this whole time, just trying to be happy because I had been dealing with jerks, and you'd think your best friend would be happy for you. No. So my husband now, my fiance at the time, his mom had a marquee diamond ring, and he bought it from her. He bought it from her, and it was like something special because his dad passed away, and it was the ring he was going to give me, something special and unique. So anyways, I'm telling her this. I'm like, yeah, it's really cool. He bought this from his mom. Like, it's a marquee diamond. I go, I never considered a marquee, but now I love, like, the sentiment. Like, I have long fingers. It works. It works for my hands. I think it complements my hands. So it was just kind of like a cool thing that happened. Anyways, what she told me was that she says, we're sitting there. She goes, yeah, marquee diamonds only look bigger because of the shape of the diamond. Excuse me, am I your best friend? At that point, I was like, I told her, I said, when I get this ring, if you make those comments, like, that's going to bother me. You know what she said? She goes, would you want me to lie to you? Excuse me? Why did I stay around? Wow, my self-esteem was low. My goodness. Okay, last one, the worst one. So we were at a bar, and she was with her 70-year-old best friend. That's a story for another time if you want to know why. She was 40. She was 40 in her 40s. She was my older friend. I'm not saying that's old, but older friend. I'm 30. I was maybe 29 at the time, like 30. But anyways, her 70-year-old best friend was there, and she was there. And we had already talked to the bartender. Super nice girl. She likes women. Love that. But anyways, we were talking about her relationships, like all this stuff, like whatever, like very nice conversation. Anyways, my best friend gets hammered per usual all the time, I would either have to drive her home or I'd have to wait 30, 40 an hour past the time I wanted to go home because she says, you don't leave friends. You don't leave friends. Like, if you leave me, I had a friend that left me. Like, I remember that. I had a friend that left me and I cut her off and blah, blah, blah. And so she had this like weird threatening thing of like, you can't leave her, but she'd inconvenience you to like make you stay after. Like, I would be like, hey, I'm just coming for one drink and then leaving. And then when we check out, she would order another one and then be like, well, you can't leave me. Like, that's not a good friend if you leave me. What was I doing? Anyways, the worst thing, so best friend is there. She's drunk and she gets super angry at him for nothing, like per usual, just like blackout angry. She smacks the heck out of him and says the slang term, and right in front of the bartender, like says that and smacks him. And I'm like, what? That is so messed up. Needless to say, this was like on the way out of our friendship, but so happy for how that ended. And if you want to know, just let me know. All right. Okay, so this is part 2 of things my ex-best friend did and I still stayed. So I wanted to provide some clarifying here with my trusty dusty notepad, because I read some of the comments and wanted to respond to some of those. So the white lawyer thing. No, she did not mean white shoe lawyer. I know people are thinking like, oh, that's a prestigious white shoe lawyer. Like, that's what she meant. No, she didn't. The first time I heard her refer to her husband as a white lawyer, we were at the bar sitting there. Again, she's making friends with people, whatever. My boss comes up and says, hey, how are you doing? Like, to me, hey, hadn't met her yet or anything. Not even relevant to the conversation, but important to note, he is black. My boss is black. Anyways, first thing out of her mouth when he's just sitting there, and he's being like super nice, like chatting to her. And she goes, oh yeah, my husband's a white. So embarrassed. Like, I was actually humiliated because like, this is the first time you're meeting my boss. Second, you're mentioning your husband's a white lawyer. That's not even relevant to the conversation. Again, she's not white, but why are you saying that to my boss who is black? I don't know. Maybe I'm being a snowflake about that, but I just thought that was really fucking weird. And I actually ended up meeting up with just my boss and their friends once she went home. And I kind of like apologized to him without like saying that directly. I was just like, hey, sorry about my friend. Like, she's kind of like different, or, she's a little interesting when she does that kind of thing. But there would be so many scenarios just to double down that, okay, maybe she accidentally just said my husband's a white lawyer. There'd be so many scenarios where she talked about how her husband is white and this is going to it triggers me. She said she wouldn't touch a certain race with a 10-foot pole. That is the type of person this girl was. If that was, again, this was on the way out because I could absolutely not stand that. And this is how she was. So when she made that comment, it was because I was single and I was saying I would date, any race, blah, 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 blah. And that's what she said. So anyways, just a horrible human being if, you weren't already aware. So yeah. Oh, and she only dates white men. She is married for 12 years, but she would always talk about how she has a type. Ooh, I have a type. Like, it's got to be above 6 foot. Again, she's like 5'2", maybe, and it has to be above 6 foot. And I only date lawyers and blah, blah, and white men. It was a thing, okay? Okay, so the house thing, the $650,000 house. Some people were like, hey, I'd talk about that too if I was building a house. I totally get that. But when you have a friend that needs constant validation of her decisions, of her lifestyle, of how amazing everything she has is, it gets pretty freaking draining that like you have to be the friend, that it's a one-way conversation every time. And it was the same conversations. It wasn't like, hey, I updated the blinds, look at this, or hey, we put in new windows. No, it was, hey, look at my house. Like seriously, these same repetitive conversations. And I just had to be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, yeah, like wow, that's so cool. And and her topics of the same conversation would go on for months. So that's why it was exhausting when you're hanging with someone 2-3 times a week. That's why it was exhausting, because it's the same topics every time. Like imagine me telling you the same story every single time I see you, with no new updates, no new additions, same story every time. Another thing she would do when we first met, again, some people are asking how long we were friends, probably 6 years. And I don't know why sometimes you're oblivious. And I'll admit, I had moved back to where I live now and I was lonely. Like COVID just hit. There was no one to hang out with, nothing to do. And we were reconnected from an old job. And I really didn't know her that well. But yeah, I'll admit, I was pretty insecure and oblivious and putting up with like comments or the constant reassurance. Like she was never that bad until I was on my way out of the door and she realized she was like losing that control or losing, I was distancing myself a bit. And then she just really started making all those bad comments and just going off the wall and putting me down. And the jealousy of others kind of shifted from, hey, she's sizing her up to other people, not myself. And it became, I'm sizing myself up to you now and trying to like make me seem better than you and that you're here. Because once she started seeing me advancing in my career, once I met my fiance, now husband, it all spiraled. Once things got better for me, she couldn't take it anymore. And that's what was crazy, because I dealt with a lot of jerks. I was single, going on bad dates, went through a bad breakup. She would listen to all of that. She loved to hear when things were going bad for me. And then suddenly, when I met my fiance, and he is just the husband now, he's just the most amazing guy in the whole wide world, treats me like a queen, has a decent job, whatever. She couldn't handle it. She could not handle it. And that was weird to me because I never sized myself up to her. Like I was raised to be happy, and my parents never did extravagant gifts, never took me shopping randomly on sprees. It was birthday, Christmas, and maybe an Easter basket or like Valentine's Day basket. So they were very particular. So they raised me not to go off of materialistic things all the time. So I'm confident in myself in that factor, that like I'm not jealous of like what you have. And she never, when she'd talk, it wasn't that she was trying to make me feel bad until towards the end when I started having good things happening to me. But like someone at work had to sell their house, and it's in the same neighborhood. She built her $650,000 house. And so she'd say comments like that, putting people down of like, they can't afford it anymore. Like her husband lost her job and now they have to sell their house. Like, oh my gosh, just really nasty, ugly comparison behavior. Okay, I'm running out of time and I can do a part 3 of how everything ended. But just to kind of give you some lore on the type of person this was too, never said thank you for gifts. We'd do Christmas, birthday, never said thank you. It would always be like, and I'm not that person. I don't need an extravagant, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like no one likes that, no one likes feeling like you have to give a reaction. But it wouldn't I'd put some thought into like gifts, or I'd get gifts for her kids. But it became an expectation because she almost tries to train you in like what she expects of, oh, my friend always decorates for my kids' birthdays every single year. Oh, my friends get my kids gifts every single year. Like she would say all this stuff. So it was more of a like, you have to, instead of like, hey, I want to like spoil your kids and I want to get them gifts, if that makes sense. But yeah, no thank yous, no nothing. She'd make registries for her kids' birthdays, Christmases. She'd send you their registry and be like, hey, feel free, to get them what they want on this list. I don't know. There's 2 sides to that. Thank you, because I don't have to guess what like to get them. I get that. But for Christmas, birthdays, all that stuff, I don't know. It was just kind of like sending it to me before I even asked, hey, what do the girls want? No, it was, hey, here's the registry, for my daughter's birthday party, like whatever, like just expecting it. And yeah, the thing with the bar, people are like, you never leave a friend. I absolutely never would leave a friend, and I never did. But the thing she would do is get so drunk that I would have to wait an hour or more after, and she'd keep ordering drinks after I said, hey, like, I'm ready to go home. You know, you want to call your husband to like come pick you up. It was guaranteed that I had to wait an hour for him to come pick her up, and then I could go home. And then if it was random Tuesday, it was a random Tuesday night. I was like, hey, I'm just coming for one drink. I'm going to leave at 8. I have a lot of meetings tomorrow. I have to go home. We'd check out, you know, she'd start to get like drunk. I'd have to be like, okay, like let's grab the check. The check would come. We'd sign out. I'd turn away, I'd look back, and she's ordering another drink, and it would be another hour that I would have to stay, because she'd say, you don't leave a friend, friends don't do that. And then if I was like, hey, I have to go, are you okay with just staying here, your husband's on the way, is that okay? And she'd remember that in her mind, that like, oh, you left me at the bar. Well, come on, I'm sorry, on a Tuesday night, I don't want to stay, wait for your husband, and just till, you know, when I say I'm leaving at 8 and I have to wait till 10:30 just to go home. But yeah, that's just some of the questions. Let me know if you want a part 3. Okay, this is part 3 of things my ex-best friend did and I still stayed. Except I'm doing a little different take on this one before I get into one of how everything ended. So if you haven't seen part 1 and 2, for context, go watch those on my page. But I kind of feel bad just because I've held this stuff in for so long, of the things she would do, and you know, having a mentally draining and exhausting friend. I don't know if you've ever had that situation where it's very one-sided. You're reassuring, you're giving recognition, you're giving praise, but you're not getting anything out of it in return necessarily in those conversations and in that friendship and in those hangouts. So I feel really bad. And I before I go into the end of it all, because I was kind of going off, and obviously all of it was true. Those are things she's said and she's done, and you know, she did, and my experience. But I do want to say some points of why I did stay and the good things about it too. I know I'm too nice, because I should just like, you know, double down and stick with it. But I will say, when COVID happened and I had moved back to where I'm from, I was going through a really hard time. I was going through a really hard time mentally, adjusting, friendships, everything like that. And she came into my life at a time where I really needed that, and it was non-existent. So, you know, a 6-year friendship, and it wasn't always bad, you know, all the bad things I'm saying, it kind of all started going to the end where her jealousy started to get projected at me instead of how it always had been at other people and their lives and their lifestyles. And you know, all of those comparison's a thief of joy, but she truly compared her life and needed so much recognition in our friendship that part was draining. But I will say, she was a good friend in many ways, in terms of, you know, she came at a season I needed her. She brought me into her family, and we would have dinners and we'd hang out, and she was available anytime I wanted to hang out. She was available. And, you know, I look at it, and there's good things in that. So when I'm bashing and when I'm going into everything, it's just, I bottled it up for so long, and I was so oblivious of that it wasn't a two-way friendship, and that the friendship was only a friendship when it benefited her. But I also am not innocent either, because I saw some of the signs, not the crazy signs in terms of the things like she did, but I saw some of the signs in that it's very one-sided when we hang out. All we do is talk about her when we hang out. She doesn't ask about me or what's going on with me when we hang out. So I definitely like noticed those things. Or when she do like little things at the bar, like make friends with everybody, and I'd be sitting there the whole time while she's just talking to a random stranger, and you know, I'm sitting there for like an hour, and our hangout is kind of wasted. You know, it's like I went out on my Tuesday night or Friday night, and it turned into just talking to strangers. And you know, and she's married, so it's like, I'm single, I should be the one that's like bopping around the bar, you know, and trying to meet everybody. But I did notice those things that were like bad and not normal in a friendship, because I have really good friends. They just live out of state. And so I couldn't see them all the time. And I didn't have that friendship or that girlhood locally, you know? So, in a way, no, even though I feel like I'm very justified in my feelings of how I was treated, especially on the way out, I will say maybe you could say I used her in a sense too of needing a friend and needing company and still wanting to do things, but I settled a lot in what I was putting up with. I settled a lot in that one-way friendship and that reassuring all the time, because there was little good moments like sifted in between there, where she might say something nice about me, but again, that was rare and few and far between. And I guess I just held on to those little bits. And I always thought, well, gosh, if I don't have her, I don't have anyone else to hang out with. I live alone. I work remote, so all of those things kind of put a lot of pressure on me to like make it work and ignore some of the smaller things. Again, the bigger things that she'd say, her husband's a white lawyer, like stuff like that. That happened more towards the end when she realized I was happy. So I don't know. I just reading all the comments, like everybody's so supportive and I really appreciate that. But like I am a kind person and I did try, there was one time because again, everybody's so fixed on the $650,000 house. Like you should be happy for her. Again, I've explained that in part 2, but just to say that it was a lot having to hear it all the time and having to like build it up and make her feel like her cup was full. I had to make her feel like that was good enough and you have done great and better than everybody else. Like I had to be that person that made her feel better when she said, oh, my husband's coworker, she said, oh, must be nice that your husband's a lawyer and he pays for everything. That would just send her into a spiral. And so when I say those topics of her house, it'd be 3 months of the same topic. I'm saying any situation where it was an insecure thing in her head, it would have to be a topic for 3 months. So when that person said, "Oh my gosh, like that's so nice, your husband's a breadwinner or whatever," well, she works a full-time job. Spiral because she could not stand, and that's rude. I agree. That's rude for like someone to say, "Oh, I'm sure your husband makes all the money." I get that. But she was so insecure that it would be a topic I'd have to hear for 3 months. So after we already talked about it, we'd have to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. And I'd have to reassure and reassure and reassure. And that is the part that was exhausting. So when I say the $650, I keep saying that wrong, $650,000 house thing, it's just because it was a topic I had to reassure that, yep, oh yeah, it's better than Janet's, at work, or it's better than this. And I really wouldn't like engage in like stuff like that, but I would just have to be like, oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. You guys are doing so well. Oh my gosh, like that's awesome. Ugh, I'm getting exhausted talking about it. So anyways, I will, if you've even stuck around this long, just wanted to give those details of saying nice things and that I'm not innocent and that I needed a friend, too. But there was, if you want to stick around for how it ended and the official blow up of where I was like, I can't do this anymore, that'll be in the next part. Okay, bye. Okay, this is part 4, the final part of things my ex-best friend did and I still stayed. If you're not caught up, you want more context, go to 3, 2, and part 1 for that. But this is how ultimately everything ended. And I think with the crazy things of saying her husband's a white lawyer, using a slur to a bartender, I think all that craziness, everybody was expecting some really big blowout for how it ended. And it didn't necessarily, but I kind of want to give some context of how it ended because I actually am happy the way it ended in terms of not feeling the pressure anymore and feeling more at peace. So leading up to everything and kind of how it spiraled, I had met my fiance, again, nothing she ever asked about, but always would ask about exes and when guys were being jerks, and always loved to hear when bad things were going on. She was there. Oh, men are jerks. My husband, you need to find someone like my husband that treats me like a queen, and my husband does this and that and that. Just trying to educate me like I had never dated a nice guy before, which I had. But anyways, that she was there through all the messiness, even in all the recognition she needed from me. She was always there when it was a bad time for me. The second I met my fiance, now husband, everything started to shift. So her jealousy of others and their lifestyles, not people think that we were jealous of each other. We were not jealous of each other, and I was never jealous of her. I always supported her. I always builded her up. But that's what got exhausting, is that it was one-sided, and I had to say, you're doing amazing, you're doing great, don't compare your life to others, all these things. And it never went well, because some people think, like, why don't you speak up instead of venting on it here? I tried. I was always overly kind, overly nice. I never said, hey, it gets really exhausting when we talk about the same things every time, and I have to reassure you, and I want you to have the confidence in yourself. I did not have the guts to do that, because I was just always kind, listening and listening and listening for years. I did this for years. This wasn't something where she mentioned her house once and I wasn't happy and I'm venting now because I'm not happy for a friend. I was happy for 6 years for her. Recognition. Never said those things bothered me. Maybe I noticed them. Never said they bothered me. Never put her down. Was never jealous. Never bragged up anything that had going on in my life. I that comparison of someone tells you something, so you have to, try to count. It wasn't like that. I was not jealous. She was not jealous of my lifestyle either, because she had everything going for her, and there's no reason. But even though maybe she had more than me, I never felt threatened by her. I was always happy, because that is one thing I'm confident in myself, is I have a loving family. I have good friends. I have a great life. Despite all the hardships I went through, I have a great life. But her, it's, oh, their life looks better than mine, or that looks better than mine. I need to talk about it a million times and make sure, make sure, everybody knows that, I'm doing better. So anyways, when I met my fiance husband, she never asked about him, and she started getting really adamant about friendships. And obviously, like, we're getting to know each other, we're spending time together. I had been single for over a year, 2 years, and finally I found someone that I'm happy with and I want to spend my time with. And suddenly I was ditching her as a friend, and I wasn't a girl's girl, and I pick men over my husband, my fiance. Like, what? I hadn't been happy in years, and suddenly all she can talk about is how I pick men over her. Like, you're married. I'm not. I'm trying to find my happiness. And suddenly, because I can't hang out 3 times a week like I could when I was single, I'm ditching you, and I'm not a good friend, and I'm not around enough. So then when I would hang out, let's say it was once a week, I felt so much pressure that if I missed that hangout, I would hear about how, hey, we haven't seen you around in a while. And it could have been like a week or 2 weeks of not seeing each other. And I had to hear every time from all her friends and all her 70-year-old best friend and her husband, like, gosh, yeah, we haven't seen you in forever. Gosh, we haven't seen you in forever. Like, they couldn't understand, and maybe I'm wrong for this, but they couldn't understand, or she couldn't understand that, like, I am trying to build what you already have in terms of, you have a husband, you have children, you're married. Like, that is what I've always wanted, but I had to make sure to maintain that 2 to 3 week hangout all the time like I could when I was single, while also trying to build and prioritize the most important person in my life, my husband now. So anyways, it got to so much pressure that if I missed a hangout, I was just so anxious. Like, I'd be talking to my fiance or boyfriend at the time, and I'd be like, oh gosh, I gotta hang out with her this week. Like, I really need to make time. And it was a busy, like, week. It's not like I was ditching her and hanging out with other friends. And I wasn't just spending my time solely with my boyfriend at the time. Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to go to the bars during the week 2-3 times a week. She was at the bar probably at this point in time. I know she slowed it down like now, but she was out probably four times a week at the bars. And yeah, when I'm single, like maybe I could maintain that, but I just got in a more comfortable position and maybe grew a little that like I didn't want to drink at the bars all the time. So anyways, the hangouts became less and her pressure and became more and the digs became more. And some of just the points of where it kind of got to where this is not feeling like you're my friend anymore. Was we went to my birthday and we did Top Golf. And last year, we had done Top Golf and they rented out two bays and they paid for it. Super nice. Like she was always great at like taking care of you on your birthdays. And I'd be great at taking care of her on her birthdays. But anyways, this time my boyfriend, husband at the time, he booked one of the booths because I think there was like six people there and that was enough. We show up, it's a windy day. She's already complaining about the wind. She's already saying, yeah, I think last year, yeah, we booked two of these. Yeah, one seems like pretty small. Yeah, there's not really any like seating for us. Like already just making comments about the weather and about, you know, how there's not enough room and she booked two for me last year and I only booked one. Like it's my birthday and there was enough seating. But anyways, I wasn't around for this, but when I was talking to other people, she corners my fiance and is asking him about the ring. And wow, so he bought it from his mom. He bought it. I don't even want to say what he spent, but he bought it from her. And she knew that. And she corners him in a corner asking just a bunch of questions about the grade of the diamond and what certificate of diamond is it. And, you know, he's sweet and nice, like, I don't know, you know, she's just prying or whatever. And then she goes, must be nice that your mom gave that to you and you didn't have to buy it. Like, what? That is so rude. And if she knew not to say that around me, because if I would have heard that, I had never spoken up before. I had never made comments. I was always scared too because it results in her blowing up and storming off and being angry. But she was lucky not to say that because my husband's the sweetest person in the whole wide world. He works really hard and the diamond is special. And so just to like say those comments and make those comments, I was like, okay, jealousy's starting to be like projected towards me and you're starting to come for my husband and put him down, you know? And then when we went to dinner with them and she is trying to convince my husband to get a prenup. Oh yeah, gosh, you guys, you should definitely get a prenup. You should definitely get a prenup. Like my husband's a lawyer. Like he deals with this stuff all the time. Like you guys need a prenup. Knowing damn well she doesn't have one. She doesn't have a prenup. And she would never get a prenup, and there's nothing wrong with prenups. There's nothing. But it's the fact it's like giving advice for something you wouldn't do yourself, and that is what was shady. And luckily, like, it was just our decision, obviously, not to, like, get a prenup because we don't believe in divorce, which is great. It's not that doesn't happen, but I'm saying it was just shady how you're trying to convince my husband to get a prenup in front of me when we've had conversations about, like, I don't believe in divorce. She'd never get a prenup. Oh my gosh, I'd never get a prenup, like blah, blah, blah. And then once the jealousy started to shift, you're trying to convince my husband to get a prenup because and she would also like be like, yeah, if it doesn't work out, like, why are you saying that in front of me when I'm in the happiest point of my life and, you know, we're engaged and it's weird to me. I thought I was going to be able to finish the blow up. Okay, I'm so sorry. In the next part, I will say, again, it's not too big of a blow up, but I will say the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, bye. Okay, this is part 5 and the final part, I promise. I know last video, part 4, was supposed to be the final part of things my ex-best friend did and I still stayed. So if you haven't seen the others, go watch the others for context. This is ultimately how everything ended and why I ended the friendship. Okay, so she obviously had been having issues that I'm not hanging around enough. I'm not, you know, seeing her enough. I'm not making plans enough when she was used to seeing me when I was single 2-3 times a week, you know, when I had the availability. So when we would hang out, it started to get anxious and overwhelming for me because I would get judged if I left. You know, I started setting boundaries of I'm leaving at 8. I'm only coming for a drink or two, and then I'm going to go. Well, I started setting those boundaries of actually doing that. And then if we were with her other friends, she'd get really angry and like kind of scoff at me like, you've changed, like, since, you have your fiance, like, you've changed, like, you go home earlier now, and you don't want to hang out as late and do everything basically she wants to do. If I didn't stay late enough and she still wanted to stay, or, I mean, we'd even be on my birthday. Again, some context for this, my fiance, now husband, he doesn't really drink a lot. Like, he's just not a big bar person, doesn't stay out super late, goes to bed at a reasonable time. But yeah, when I was single and when we would hang out, I didn't have as much of a time frame, most nights or on the weekends. Like, yeah, I would hang out longer. But once he started coming along and things like that, we started going home at reasonable times, and she didn't like that change. She didn't like that rescheduling on her time or just going home at a decent time. So even the on my birthday, when I stayed till like 9:30, again, I was feeling pressure to hang out. I was feeling pressure if I didn't stay long enough, it wasn't good enough. If I didn't hang out with her once or twice a week or go to every single thing she planned, if we had other stuff going on or we were visiting family or whatever, if I missed any of those, I wasn't a good friend, and I'm picking a guy over her. And it's like, you have a husband and children and you're wanting to be at the bars 3, 4, 5 times a week. And she didn't want to be home, if I'm being frank. That's my opinion, but just my opinion. But it didn't seem like, it seems like she is in a different phase of her life, being in her 40s, and she just, her kids are growing up, but like, she has more time to do those things. And I am trying to build those things, if that makes sense. So anyways, the straw that broke the camel's back is, after all this pressure, after all those things, I started distancing myself. So you could say that's my fault too, of maybe she had a reason she started spiraling. But the constant need for validation, the digs at me, the digs at my husband, the digs at me not being around when I would come around, I started to not feel appreciated. I was like, for 6 years, I have been available. I have been your friend. I have hung out with you when I didn't want to hang out. And I've hung out with you when maybe I just wanted to stay home. But I felt if I didn't do those things, I would hear about how I'm not a good enough person and I'm not a good enough friend. So, I did start to distance myself. And so, again, maybe the hangouts were like once every 3 weeks. But the thing that's crazy is I have other friends. We pick up right where we left off. There's not pressure. Oh, you can't hang this week. Okay. Like, we'll figure it out in a couple weeks. Like, it just, that pattern of not needing the expectation of hanging every single weekend and every single week, no matter what. Like, I felt like that wasn't unreasonable based on the other friendships I have, that we all have life. We all have things going on. So there was one night she texts me and, she sends me a picture of her drink and like that she's out and about. And I said, oh, love that. I love that place. How's your almost full, 2 weeks at your new job been? Just trying to be like normal and supportive. And obviously she goes, it's going great so far. I said, love that. Are you enjoying what you're doing more too? I can see that being a long-term job for you. And this is just how her behavior is because of the pressure I felt of like not good enough. She says, I am. Her friend stayed the night last Friday, and that was very nice of her to come spend time with me when my husband's out of town. Again, she did not ask me to do that, but this is her baiting, trying to like, again, we weren't even talking about that. I'm trying to be supportive, saying, love that, ask her about her. This is her baiting her issue already. And important to note, she was hammered in this. So when I get to the one text I think was just cruel, let me know. But she said, I really appreciated her taking time away from her plans to be with me. Step in the right direction. Besties in the making. Why are you saying that to me? Again, like 6 years have been such a great friend. Yeah, maybe I distanced myself enough. But anyway, she's trying to bait. She's trying to cause a fight, and I'm not giving into it. I said, that's awesome. You could have a little spendy and girls' night together. Seems like it's going in the right direction. Like, I know why she's saying this stuff. I'm just not trying to feed into her causing a fight and her trying to like blow up at me. And she goes, yeah, she's definitely been making an effort to keep our friendship on track. So already threatening, like threatening was like very normal for her. I said, yeah, that's good. I guess my friends and I just know we're locked in and pick up where we left off because we all have things going on and our lives are in different places. I said, but I understand. She goes, I agree. It shows by really who shows up when it matters. Birthdays, anniversaries, etc. Again, maybe that seems normal. That is what friends do. That is what friends do. But she always would set these expectations. So if I missed a birthday, if I missed an anniversary, again, I didn't really miss any of these. For the last 6 years, I was always there for those. I said, yes, I don't think I've missed any of those, but I also don't want to be put down all the time if I have things going on. It makes it feel negative every time I'm around to just hear everything I don't do. I know before we spent tons of time together and got used to that routine, but things change and I have someone else in my life that I also want to give my time to and prioritize. So it would be nice the time we hang is appreciated. Tell me if those responses warranted this. And some of this I have to block out, but I will summarize it just because it's inappropriate in general, but for here. She says, I understand that everyone is at a different stage of life, but when you were single, you were always coming over and wanting to hang out with you, taking time away from my family. Again, I felt pressured that I had to hang out with her because she was always asking me. So if that really was the issue, the distance wouldn't have been an issue, that we weren't hanging out as much because you're with your family. I don't know, my opinion. And I did that to prioritize our friendship. Big mistake. Our friendship does not mean anything to you. Okay, maybe we're trying to have a heart-to-heart. That makes sense. She's wasted. She cuts into, I witnessed you doing things with men and hooking up. What does that have to do with anything? Okay, I made time for you because I was being a good friend. Excuse me? Where on earth did that come from? All of a sudden, you're talking about things I've done. You know why she did this? Because she was hoping I was laying next to my fiance, now husband, and he had to like read things I've done in my past. And I was sitting next to him and I was just like mind blown. And he goes, my husband's just the best. He's like, I don't need to know any of that. He's like, what you have done with other people, like, doesn't even matter. And he goes, that's like totally irrelevant to her. You know, if you're venting about your friendship, why on earth are you just going in about, I witnessed you do this and I witnessed you hooking up? Or she didn't witness anything, by the way. She's just saying things that I've done, like irrelevant to me. And then she said, I have covered for you enough. No one is being negative about your priorities. Be accountable for your actions in your past. Again, what is this relevant? My past with other men? Like, my husband knows everything. But again, he was great and said, I don't need to know everything. So don't act like I'm the problem. Own your shit. It's because your priorities have changed. I don't like dishonesty. If you can't be honest with the person you're marrying, that says a lot about who you are as a person. Good luck with bad behavior. God is watching. What? Excuse me. God is watching. The dishonest thing, she had this thing that clearly, because I had been through some hard times and I opened up with my fiance. She totally could not believe, and again, it's hardships everybody goes through. She could not believe that someone as amazing, clearly someone as amazing as my husband would, if I was honest, would be with me. That's why she was saying that. And that is like disrespectful. So calling me a liar, no, he's the first person I've opened up to about everything and he accepted me for it. So anyways, I'm running out of time, but that is when I just decided not to text back.
Okay. All right, ladies. So I have a story time. On an experience that I just had with a man. And I'm not putting that in quotes because I'm questioning his gender. Not that at all. I'm putting that in quotes because I think calling him a man is very generous of me when he is a 27-year-old child. Okay. So I am recently single. I have been single for about a month and a half. Am I in any way, shape, or form ready for a new relationship? No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, I'm not. Hey, who was that? I am not. I actually think that getting into a relationship right now, I think I'd rather lay in oncoming traffic. I'd rather shave this head, okay? This forehead, I'd rather make it a 6 head, okay? All right? I don't want to be with anybody. I barely want to be with myself, okay? But am I kind of trying to mingle? Yes, ma'am, I am. Yep. Well, trying. That's the key word. I'm trying. So like I said, been a month and a half. So I guess when you're, broken up with, like when a man breaks up with you, there's like this bat signal that goes off, okay? And it like alerts all the single men, all like the fucking leeches and the mosquitoes. Hey, this one's single. Let's hit her up. So, which I'm honored kind of a little bit. I'm also terrified, but whatever. So, I'm like getting on, like, you know, using my social media again, like getting more like active on that. And I'm also trying dating apps, okay? So I'm like getting added by like, you know, people on like Instagram and Snapchat, and I'm like getting new phone numbers, and I'm like trying to be active. I'm trying to be mindful. I'm trying to be open-minded. I'm trying to be, you know, like participating, okay? Trying to be a good sport, okay? Cause fuck a participation effort, okay? If I'm going into this, I wanna really win, okay? I wanna do good. So I randomly get added on Snapchat by this man. We'll call him Pete. Okay? So Pete adds me on Snapchat. Okay? And at first I'm like from the dating apps and like from social dating apps, it's one. I'm on Hinge. I'm not on a bunch. I'm actually banned from Tinder. Whatever, different story. So I'm like, I don't know this man. I don't know Pete from any of the apps. I wonder why he's adding me. But I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, we ball. I add him back. So we start Snapchatting back and forth, okay? Just selfies, innocent selfies. And I asked him the one day, I said, how did you find me? Like, how do we know mutual people? Like, what are we thinking? And he's like, no, you just came up as someone to add. And I said, okay. I said, so where are you from? How old are you? And we're like chit-chatting, okay? This, that, and the third. So he literally tells me I'm from a part of Jersey, and I'm not too far from you at all. I'd love to go on a date. I said, okay. Cool fucking beans. I'd love to go on a date. Take me out. So we set up a time and a place, and we meet at this restaurant, okay? Now okay, sorry, I forgot that Snapchat cuts off at a certain point. So anyway, so we I agree to go on a date with Pete. So we meet at a spot that's closer to me. I will say, for a first date and for meeting someone completely new, not having any mutual friends, not being able to like do like too much of a background check, I just wanted to be in an area that I was comfortable with. So we go on this date, right? And it's just drinks. We're sitting at the bar, we're having a great time, we're chatting it up, we love sports, we're watching the Phillies game, we're talking about work, family, this, that, whatever, hitting it off, okay? So he basically tells me on the date, hey, I'm not the kind that just dates around, and I don't just sleep around. Like, if I'm seeing somebody, I'm seeing them because I'd like it to turn into something. And I said, I can respect that. I said, I'm typically the same way. I just don't think I can make any promises right now because I am recently single, but I'd love to get to know you. I appreciate the honesty. Let's see where things go. Let's try to keep this ball moving, okay? Yeah, fucking silly me. So we continue to the date, and then at the end, he walks me to my car, and he says, can I kiss you goodnight? I said, absolutely. I would love that. Thanks so much. So he kisses me goodnight, okay? And I'm like, oh, this was sweet. Mind you, we had been texting a lot before the date, too, like getting to know each other. So it was like, wow, that was like really natural, felt good, good vibes, good energy, great. So after the date, I immediately noticed, not that I don't know how to describe it. The energy didn't shift and the text didn't slow down. It just kind of became more sexual on his part. Okay? And I can get into that. Yeah, sure. Let me get into that because fuck Pete. I'll talk about it. So what I want to say is, this man, was asking me questions like, do you think you want to get pregnant? Do you think you want to have babies? Do you think you'll produce a lot of milk? Now, my thing is, I could be a fucking freak, right? Like, I can really get into that. I can, like, grind with weird, kinky shit. But I was a bit taken back because this was, like, a really intimate conversation, and I was not expecting to have it with Pete. So I'm like, oh, haha. Like, I definitely don't, like, shame anybody. Definitely, like, would maybe try things like that with somebody at some point, but like clearly not pregnant right now. Not really sexually active with you either yet, dude. But like, good question. Thanks for asking me that. Then I get asked, would you let me, would you let me drink milk from your tots, from your tit-tot toes, while you're pregnant? Baffled, speechless. One time a man has ever made me speechless. But you know, never say never. Am I right? So I'm like, oh. So anyway, I'm like, sure, maybe if we ever cross that bridge, if this ever turns into that, if it ever turns into a little like milking the titty type of situation. Ew, I don't even know. But okay, whatever. Now looking back, I'm like, Jill, you have to go to therapy. Yep. So anyway, I continue with that a little bit, and then I change the subject because I'm actually wildly uncomfortable. But no, it didn't stop there. I continued talking to this man, okay? And we agreed to go on a second date. The second date was going to be watching a movie at his house this time, and doing like a movie marathon because he came to me last time. So I'm like, okay, all right, cool. Well, this man goes on a work conference trip, and, you know, he's busy, okay? He's got to pay the bills, so, especially if he wants to make me a mommy one day, what? So he's working, and obviously, like, when you're at a conference, why'd I say it like that? Sorry. When you're at a conference, you can't really be texting all day, so I totally get it. So, like, that, like, from Monday, when he started the conference to yesterday, not a lot of communication, but I get it. But still, when we were talking, it was good. We were talking about the Phillies, we were talking about, like, getting to see each other, and, like, watching movies, and, oh, cool, oh, maybe we'll have a sleepover, oh, yay, mwah, 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 mwah. Okay, cool. So, basically, yesterday, I canceled plans. I had my reasons and I canceled plans. Nothing to do with him, personal reasons. And I said, can we reschedule? I'd love to reschedule. He goes, absolutely. Absolutely. You do what you got to do. I'd love to reschedule. We'll set something up. I said, perfect. Thank you so much. Well, then crickets. Crickets from Pete McGee Magoo. Okay. Nothing. So then I'm like, all right. Okay. So then today I text him, good morning. Sorry, I burped. And then hours go by, and I don't hear from Mans. And then I said to him, hey, I've noticed, like, a change, and, like, a shift in, like, the energy and the vibes. If you're not interested anymore, could you just tell me, just so that, like, we're on the same page? This man fucking goes, yeah, I'm just, like, not ready for a relationship. I think I'm too busy. Hope we can still be friends. I said, Then I said, do you think that communication was appropriate with me? Because you're the one that kind of presented to me, hey, I don't date around. Hey, I don't sleep around. Hey, I'm with one girl. I'm locked and loaded with that bitch. So I'm a little confused. Also, if you were feeling that way, were you going to tell me, or did you need to wait for me to ask you and say, here you go, baby, let me pull the words out of your mouth, and then you can have your tots milk? What the fuck? So I'm like, do you think that was appropriate in any way? just asking. And he said something along the lines of, I mean, this is going way too fast. This is moving way too fast. LOL. LOL? You think this is fucking funny? You think wasting my time is fucking funny? You got me fucked up. So I text this man, and I say, okay, so it's not, you know, it's moving at a pace where you're good sexting, and you're good asking. Sorry, Snapchat really be dropping me off and ending these videos when it's like the worst timing. But anyway, this man has no problem sexting. This man, sorry, got me fumbled on my words for a second, Pete. What the fuck? This man has no problem showing me his, Did I judge? No, because I'm not a judgmental person. I'm very open, honest, try my best to be a good human being because I want a seat up there. But at this point, I think I'm going down here, okay? So, did I judge any of that? No. Was it so I say to him, I said, was it moving too fast when you sent me those, and you had me going like that, and we were talking like that, and we were sexting, and it wasn't moving too fast when you asked to take a sip from these beautiful milk jugs, these beautiful money milk makers? That wasn't too fast for you? But when we have emotional conversations and we make a good connection, that's when it moves too fast? Then this man goes, why are you freaking out on me? Oh, you think that's me freaking out? Pete, wait till you watch this TikTok, bitch. No, I'll show you freaking out. Absolutely not. So that's my dating horror story. That was my experience with a man, and that's why I'll probably be single for the rest of my life, and I'm actually just going to stay in this car that's not running, because I don't want to waste my gas, it's too expensive right now, and I'll probably just stroke out in here. I'll probably just wait for the heat to take me, because fuck these men, am I right?
ready with me to go on another first date. So I'm just gonna quickly do my makeup and then I'm gonna go and get my lashes done. But anyway, let me get into a little bit of the backstory of the date. So I feel like I've mentioned before on this account that I work in a shop, right? So I work in a shop in central London, like a small like boutique thing. So a few weeks ago, this guy came into the shop, you know, just this regular guy, probably looks similar age to me. He sees me and then he was asking me what socks he should get. Guys, this sounds like a dead story, but it's kind of cute. So obviously we were just talking about that, but like nothing that interesting. He was paying. We were like, this guy, like, he keeps staring at me, like, proper eye contact as well, not just like a glance, you know. It was like deep eye contact. So that was kind of cute. Cause like, please, if you've watched any of my fucking previous date videos, these guys, they ain't doing no eye contact. They're like looking on the other side of the room and they're talking to me. So eye contact is good. This is like new for me. So yeah, he leaves, whatever. Me and my manager, we were looking at each other like, because he was looking at me a lot. So obviously it was like, we were just having a little giggle about it. So we were literally in the middle of a conversation, the phone rings. Obviously I answer it, you know, all professional, like blah, 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 like good morning. And then he's like, hello, I came to the shop before and I bought some socks. Guys, these socks are killing me. Like, yeah, I came to the shop before and I bought some socks. And a young girl was serving me. I was like, oh yeah, that's me. Would you mind if I took you out for a drink sometime? I think that's what he said. Because again, this was like 3 weeks ago. So, you know, shit's happened since then. My mind gets a bit scrambled or busy. I was like, okay. And then he like read out his number and I put it into my phone, and then I just texted him saying like, hey, it's Maddie, like, how are you? And anyway, he replies like a day later, or not even a day later, like the next morning, just saying like, hey, sorry, I've been busy, I've been at my brother's graduation. He was like, I wore the socks that you sold me, please, enough of the socks. But anyway, he was busy, blah blah blah. This is a reoccurring theme of the story, like you're gonna see. But we literally exchanged like 3 fucking messages, and to be honest, like I haven't been in that many talking stages in my life, but just like texting in general, like it's just long, and talking stages just give me anxiety. So I literally just said to him like straight up, you know, I don't really like texting, like, when are you free so we can meet in person, because I'd rather just meet in person, get it over and done with. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm not a great texter either, like, are you free next Friday? So I was like, yeah. He was like, I'm busy next week, but Friday should be fine, like I'll let you know. So this is maybe when there's some red flags, but I don't know if I'm overthinking it. Yes, so the Friday we're meant to be meeting presumably that evening, because we haven't texted the whole week because both of us said we don't like texting, and he was busy, whatever, fine. I don't want to fucking pen pal. I was like, well, he hasn't messaged me saying like time, location, like anything. And I don't know, me especially, but I think as girls in general, like we need to know, because you need to know what we're wearing, gotta plan an outfit, gotta do our makeup, you know, do our hair and everything. Effort goes into looking like this. So I had to fucking text him, which was like strike number 1. Because if you've asked the girl out, I think you should be keeping her up to speed, you know, keeping her up to date with the plan. But yeah, they're fucking useless. Do you know what I mean? Bear in mind, I still don't know this guy's age, name, job. Like I know nothing about him. So I'm literally going into this blind. So yeah, I texted him, I was like, hey, we still meeting tonight, or whatever, something along them lines. And then he replies to me like a few hours later saying, sorry, my friend's like leaving drinks have been moved a week earlier, so I'm gonna have to reschedule. I was like, okay, that's fine. And it is fine, do you know what I mean? Like, it's okay, but you've got to let me know. You can't leave me to be texting you when you're rescheduling. So I was like, potential strike number 1. Anyway, it gets to like a week later, he hasn't texted me to say we're rescheduling on any specific day. Obviously, like I'm busy as well, like I work 2 jobs. Have hobbies, have like a pretty active social life, so it's like, you know, you gotta fit into my schedule as well. It's not all about you, but guys love to say they're busy. Like, do you not think I'm busy as well? Like, I'm not just sat at home laying in bed all day waiting for your message or waiting to go out with you. Like, please, like, come on, you cancelled, you should be the one to text, right? That's just mad. It's like, if I was gonna meet my friend and then I had to reschedule, I'd be like, well, I can do this day instead. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't just leave them hanging. Red flag, potential number 2. Seeing my friend at the weekend. I went to go see my friend. I haven't seen her in a year, so I was just, you know, keeping her up to date with everything that's been going on in my life. And she was like, just fucking text him, girl. She was like, just do it. It's 2026. Who gives a fuck? I don't want to look like a beg. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, when are we meeting? When are we meeting? Like, please. But because I've deleted Hinge, you know, I have to rely on these guys that approach me in the wild. So, you know, it's less options. Because on Hinge, you just got so many options. But, you know, I want a Hinge cleanse because it was deep. It was actually deep. So yeah, I've got to rely on guys in real life. So I texted him. I was just like, hey, sorry, I've been super busy. Like, did you still want to meet next week? And then he actually replied. I was like, for fuck's sake, if I've been ghosted. And he was just like, sorry, I've been super busy. Like, come on, half the chat is now you saying you're busy and me saying I'm busy. Like, what is going on? So at this point, the only reason I'm actually clinging on to anything is because it's quite like a unique, you know, start to the story. Like, he actually called me up. I feel like guys don't do that anymore. Well, I mean, he called my work up, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I was like, fuck it. He's like, have you got any plans on Thursday, which is today? I was like, yeah, I can meet you after 6, and that is what we're doing. We're meeting at 7 p.m. Wish me luck, guys. We'll see. He said he was starting a new job, so I was like, fair enough, you know, because starting new jobs can actually be quite stressful from experience. And at least he has a job. At least he's employed. Do you know what I mean? He's employed. Obviously, I've seen him briefly in person. I know that he's got teeth. Like, I know that he looks normal. Like, there's not gonna be any surprises. I can't really remember what his face looks like, but my manager said he was handsome, so hopefully she has good taste. I don't know. I just need to go into this with an open mind. I guess you need to go into any first date with an open mind, especially if you don't really know them. I mean, I essentially feel like I'm going on a blind date. Do you know what I mean? Because I can't remember what he looks like. He did tell me his name, but I forgot. I'm going to be honest. Like, when he called up the shop, you know, he told me his name and poof, it was gone. I just instantly forgot. So, yeah, I don't know his name. He could be 19. So I just touched up my makeup. Obviously, I've got my lashes done as well. Look how nice they are. She did them so good. So I have to be quick as fuck, so I literally need to leave in 1 minute. Then I'm going to attempt to show you my outfit. So it's just this red top, white linen trousers. I'm literally crouching because I haven't got time to set up my camera properly. And then my new Betty Boot bag. How cute though. And then black kitten heel. There's the finished look. Wish me luck, guys. Little debrief of the date that I went on last night. It was literally the worst day of all time. Spoiler alert, it was fucking terrible. I meant to meet in Central, and then he texted me saying it's the opening game of the World Cup. So he was like, why don't we meet in Notting Hill? Straight away, I knew this is red flags because I had a feeling that he was quite posh, right? So I was like, it makes sense that he kind of lives around Notting Hill. He's definitely picked somewhere that's just close for him. And I'm sorry, it takes me like 40 minutes to get there, which like, okay, it's not the end of the world, but like if it's 5 minutes for him and 40 minutes for me, like you're just taking the piss, I think. But anyway, so I got there. He met me outside the tube, which was good, I guess. There's one tick. He fucking came and met me. Yeah, he was posh as fuck. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm so open to dating anyone. Like genuinely, I will literally give anyone a chance, but his accent, like, I just didn't find it attractive at all. There's kind of the stereotype that posh guys can be quite arrogant. Yeah, he was fucking arrogant. So he was like, oh, we're going to go to this wine bar around the corner. So I was like, oh, how old are you? Because obviously I knew nothing about this guy. So he was 25. He was age appropriate, which is good. So we walked to this wine bar. He was like, oh yeah, I just live like 3-minute line bike away. I was like, yeah, of course. All the effort that you've put into coming in here tonight. So he was 40 minutes late. He did text me that he was going to be 40 minutes late, but still like, where's the time management? Come on, we've had this plan for like 3 days. So we went to this wine bar. And he says to me, oh, by the way, because this is the opening match of the World Cup, I'm going to be seeing my friends later. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've literally spent 40 minutes getting here, you know, an hour and a half getting ready before. What the hell? So that pissed me off. But I was like, well, I'm here now, you know, I've got ready and everything, so I might as well try and enjoy myself. But when he said he was meeting his friends later, I thought he meant like in like 3 hours or something, because this was like 7:30. We literally had 2 glasses of wine, and he was like, oh, I need to go and meet my friends. I mean, the conversation, it wasn't completely dry, but we're just on completely different wavelengths. Like, I'm sorry, he's, like I said, that very stereotypical, like, posh, like, all boys school, boarding school, like, private school type. Just some of the stories he was saying, I was like, our lifestyles were just not aligned at all. And also, because he opened with the fact that he was going to meet his friends later, I just kind of felt like I was taking up his time. He definitely had a bit of charm to him. You know, he could hold a conversation 100%, but again, I just felt like I was taking up his time. So it was just not good vibes from the get-go, I think. You know, I was trying to keep it like lighthearted, you know, like making jokes and stuff, and we were laughing together, but I just don't think the chemistry was there. Oh my god, and this was making me laugh as well, because me and my friend the other day, we were literally talking about how posh guys love blondes. Like, they're just obsessed with blonde girls. I don't know what it is. They need to do like a study into it or something, because posh guys just, they love the blondies, okay? Obviously I'm not blonde. Once we sat down with the first drink, he was like, oh, I thought you were blonde. Me, do you know what I mean? My hair is literally like one shade lighter than black, and this is my natural hair color as well. So I was like, what the fuck are you on about? It's like, yeah, have you dyed your hair? No. So he literally called me up to meet me. Like, he literally asked me out. You can't even remember what I look like. He wasn't like bad looking, but not my type. So girls, I think the moral of this story is, if someone's not your type, don't go on a date with them. Like, you know, I was kind of like forcing it because I thought, oh, he's done this like nice gesture of calling out my work and asking me out over the phone. You know, it's so like not traditional, but you know what I mean, like old school, like not dating apps. I was like, oh, he's gonna be so nice. There was literally red flags from the start. So trust your female intuition, trust your gut instincts. Don't go texting guys first. If a guy wants to text you, he'll fucking text you. And if he's telling you he's busy all the time, please. Nothing he was telling me about his life made him seem busy. Like, he just goes to work and then goes out the weekend. I was like, okay, so like a normal person then. I shouldn't have ignored the red flags. Just because you want a bit of a plot line, you know, the story, it's got a nice like romantic start, it doesn't mean it's going to end well. It's less of what he said verbally and more of just like his actions and like his demeanour that I found like arrogant. Do you know what I mean? Because he was asking me questions and stuff, but like, come on, this is the bare minimum. Like, if you've asked someone out, you should want to get to know them. And then, you know, he wasn't even interested in me like physically. I don't think, like, I don't really get the impression that he found me attractive. Didn't compliment me once. I was like, right, you know, blow dry my hair for what reason? Got my lash extensions done for what reason? I mean, I didn't do that for him, but you know what I mean? Like, I actually put effort into my appearance. It was just mainly the fact that he just didn't appreciate my time at all. Obviously, getting ready, travelling there. I told him that I live in North London, so like, you know, it doesn't take a genius to figure out it's going to take me a bit of time to get all the way to Notting Hill. But yeah, I think that's the main thing. Just like, oh, I'm so busy, but then you're wasting my time when I'm also busy. Like, are you not very organised? He was like, no, I don't think so. I was like, yeah, well, clearly fucking not. Like, you made a gal come and travel to see you, sit with you for an hour. I mean, he paid for, well, we literally had 2 drinks each, so he paid for both the drinks, so, okay. And then he kind of walked me back to the tube, and then he was like, oh, there's line bikes back this way, so I'm just going to leave you here. We had like a hug, not even a hug, just like, you know, put your arm around each other. I was like, oh yeah, see you later. And then I got to the tube, sent my friend a voice note, giving her the debrief. She was like, I'm literally going to pray for you because your dates are so bad. She's like, God is going to send someone your way. I was like, yeah, say that fucking prayer, because these dates, no, I think I'm gonna have to go celibate for summer, guys. It's actually deep. I promptly deleted his number because I was like, I'm not even gonna text him saying thank you. I'm sorry, like, just how disrespectful. He was like, oh, are you going out with your friends tonight? I was like, no. because I planned on spending my evening with you. You know, even if we were only together for like 3 hours or whatever, an hour. Like, I didn't leave knowing anything about him other than he's a dick. Never gonna speak to him again. And I just got that sense that like he just lives his life just not giving a fuck. Because obviously he came into my work and then left and then waited like an hour and then asked me out. So it wasn't like he just did something on the spot. Like, he thought about it. He was like, oh, I thought that girl was attractive. I'm gonna call her up. So I think, you know, that's quite a big gesture. Like, when I was telling people, they were like, oh my God, like, you know, it's quite an exciting story. But obviously he thought I was blonde, so he didn't even remember what I looked like. So to him, obviously didn't mean anything. So yeah, I just got the sense he's just the type of guy who just, you know, lives his life doing whatever the fuck he wants. Like, it doesn't matter if it affects other people. Guys, honestly, these dates, they're fucking humiliation rituals. Because bear in mind, I'm not even going on them like, oh, I'm looking for my husband. I'm looking for like a serious relationship or anything. Like, I'm 24. I'm really not that bothered, honestly. Like, if we're just gonna have fun, that's fine as well. But they're not even fun. They're literally not even fun. They've got no banter, no sense of humour. A lot of them have no conversation skills. Like, he was okay last night, like the conversation was fine, but like most of it's about himself. Another flop date. Like I said, I've deleted the dating apps. So I'm just relying on people coming up to me in person. So this is probably not gonna be another date for a while, I don't think. Thank God. Thank God. I just need to think about myself from now on. Fuck the guys.
Topic that no one really talks about is how painful it is for someone to pretend to love you just for a green card. And something that you guys don't know about me is that I was engaged once. And I thought it would be different for me because I am a Tunisian girl. I am from that Arabic culture and I understand it very well. I speak the language. I have family there. So when I got engaged to a Tunisian man, I never thought to myself that they would treat me the same way that you see on TV, like on 90 Day Fiancé. My friends in Tunisia warned me. They all told me to be careful. They all saw it for what it is, but I was blind at the time. I truly thought that this man loved me for me. Now that I'm married to a different man, an American man, I understand how that was not love at all. That was manipulation and that was control. And sometimes when I watch 90 Day Fiancé, I get really irritated and triggered because not only did I go through this, but I also see how my fellow people, my Arabs, how they behave and how they've made this thing stereotypical and how so many Tunisian men have been on 90 Day Fiancé and have literally showcased how they scam women into believing that they actually care for them. And it's not just scamming in an emotional sense, it is financial coercion. And I can tell you that because I was financially coerced too. Why? Because you're a Western girl. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them that I am half Tunisian. I understand the language and I understand the culture and I have family there. No, it doesn't matter. I still live in the United States, hence I am Westernized. This person made me feel like I was their cash cow, and they used a lot of emotional manipulation to get me there. There was a lot of moments where it's like, oh, you don't love me, you don't care about me, that's why you're not sending money. So every month, sometimes every 2 weeks, I would be sending my hard-earned money to them to satisfy them. I would be sending them gifts. I would be sending them everything. And I know I'm at fault here because I fell for it. Like, number one rule, don't send the money. But I genuinely thought that this man loved me. I genuinely thought that, you know, he was gonna be the person for me. And then came the other portion of the emotional manipulation. And I seriously got triggered when I watched one of the episodes of the new 90 Day Fiancé because Mito did this to, I forgot her name, but Debbie did this to Debbie, where they start commenting on your clothes. They start dictating what you can and can't wear, and that you shouldn't be wearing certain things, even though they can wear whatever they want. And suddenly started, you know, commenting on my body. Now, if you speak Arabic, you'll understand this word. He called me botella a lot. And botella means like fat girl. I was 160 pounds at that time, which was my average. My lowest was 155. I am at my highest now, at a 173. I don't really consider myself a fat girl. I am a very athletic girl. I've been playing tennis for most of my life. I've played professional tennis, so I probably have more muscle on my body than I do with fat. You know, it also got to the point where he started commenting on the hair on my body, especially the hair on my hands. And you can see, I don't really have. I have peach fuzz. But because I had peach fuzz, he would call me monkey. And he would try to emotionally manipulate me into basically waxing everything off. And these are things that people do not talk about when it comes to dating someone or being a fiance to somebody that is from that side of the culture. And I know it's not just that culture in itself. Men like this are in many places. But I know there are a lot of women out there, US girls or Western girls, who have gone through the immigration process with a man, and how horrible they are, how manipulative they are, how abusive they are. And luckily, God was on my side, because the day that I was about to file the K-1 visa, there were so many things happening. It was like every single time I was gonna file the K-1 visa, something happened. Something happened in my family, something happened at work. Like, there was always something that happened. And then on the day that I was gonna do it, I was like writing in the information, and there was one piece of information that I did not have, and I was trying to reach him to get that information. And that's when I found out from the grapevine that he was cheating on me, that he was seeing other girls, that he was messaging other girls, that he was doing all this stuff behind my back. And I ended it. Blocked him, never talked to him since, still haven't blocked to this day. I know it's not all men, but it is most men. I know it's not all immigrants or people that are going through the K-1 visa or the green card immigration process. I know it's not all of them, but it is most of them. And if I could be the person right now doing this video, if I could reach maybe one girl out there that is going through this process and was treated the exact same way as me, and if I could lend an ear, girl, don't do it. It's not worth it. You'll pay all that money for them to come here and for them to be here and cheat on you and treat you like dirt, to do whatever they want. But you're stuck because you're married to them. And the thing that people do not talk about or do not tell you, that even if you get divorced, even if they come here and they go through the process and you get married and then you decide to get divorced, even after you get divorced, you are responsible for them for 10 years. And that means you're responsible for them financially for 10 plus years. That means if they don't pay their rent or if they have medical bills that go unpaid, that goes directly to you. You are going to be the one that pays that. It is a horrible experience. And I wish more women would talk about this, because it's not what you see on TV on 90 Day Fiance. That is the watered down version. Because I know there are a lot of Western women out there, US girls, who have brought men over, men from my culture. It's embarrassing, from my culture. And they have treated women violently. They have abused them, hurt them, and they just roam the streets of the US. And honestly, I'm kind of tired of seeing it on TV as entertainment. I'm kind of tired that we're laughing at how men treat women poorly. And we're making it a joke. Like Debbie right now, she's the butt of the joke because she let this man in. He treats her like dirt. And everyone sees how he treats her. He treats her like dirt. But yet, it's entertaining. But this is a real person with real feelings and money that is being exploited. And I'm tired of seeing it happen. I hope this helped. I love you guys. If you're in a relationship with a man that's pretending to love you just for a green card, I wish there would have been anything that you would have told me in those moments that would have snapped me out of it. My friends told me. My friends that were in Tunisia, they told me. They saw it. They knew. They told me not to send him money. They told me to to be done with the relationship, that this man is using me, that he's taking advantage of me, that all he wants is to come to the US and doesn't care how he's going to do it. And the way he treated me, horrible. But the biggest problem and the biggest way and why this tends to happen and this tends to continue is because we don't have that self-confidence. I did not have that self-love for myself, that, you know, I allowed this person to talk to me that way, to treat me that way, to push me, and to just verbally and emotionally abuse me. I thought that was what love is, that was the hard part of love, of what a relationship looks like. I never had a healthy example of what love was until my husband now, but that was years later and healing, a lot of healing later. Worst part of this experience is that unless you kidnap this person and have them disappear, there's nothing you can do. They have to go through it themselves. They really do. And sometimes the worst heartbreak is the path that they need to take in order to learn to love themselves again, learn to pick themselves again. And I know that seeing it happen, because I'm like, I see it happen as well. Like I know a lot of people that are going through it right now, that are people that are very near and dear to my heart. And I wish I could shake them out of it. I wish I could just, you know, kidnap the man and make him disappear. But it's going to be a cycle. If it's not that man, it's going to be the next person. It's going to be the next person, the next person, the next person. It could be from different places. And it's just a cycle that they unfortunately have to experience and go through. And I'm sending her so much love. I think you're a beautiful friend for trying to support her through it. But I am sending her so much love, and I hope that she's okay.
Here's why I'm not having my daughter's birthday party at Ulta. So I'm sharing this I want to give the context that I am not somebody that bashes brands or companies or anything like that. This is strictly just so that it reaches whoever it needs to reach. If you do plan a birthday party at Ulta, I'm sure that there could be positive experiences. Mine was not, and I honestly left feeling very, I don't want to say triggered, but just very feeling very uncomfortable. And so I will not be having my daughter's birthday party there. Not that Ulta probably cares at all, and this is really, this is just for me to get the word out there if you do plan to have a birthday party at Ulta, so that you have the insight of how you could potentially make it a more enjoyable experience. So my daughter is turning 10 on the 15th, and my sister and I were trying to figure out what kind of birthday party should we do for her. 10's a big deal. So we came across the Ulta birthday parties. My sister said, have you ever seen these Ulta birthday parties? And I said, no, I didn't even know Ulta did them. Shows me a TikTok. The mom is voiceovering. It's like beautiful. They have this beautiful spread. Like, it looks so much fun. Like, they teach the girls, and then they come out of it with this lovely little goodie bag, and I think she said it was like $50 a person, and hyped it up. So I was like, this is great, this is a great idea. So I reach out to Ulta via email. I go to the Ulta website to see if our local Ulta is participating in birthday parties. They do. So I send an email to inquire, and the email that I got back on May 14th said, a beauty associate will reach out to you shortly, blah blah blah. That was it. So a week goes by and I don't hear anything. I'm like, oh, they must be busy. Another week goes by and I'm like, wow, they really must be busy. And I was like, let me just give them a call. So I called on June 3rd and I finally spoke with someone, and she was a little bit a little discombobulated at first, but I didn't think anything of it. She was like, I think she had to go to a different computer, different room, or whatever it was. So whatever. I mean, it is what it is, it's how it goes, And so I didn't think anything of it. But she finally gets my inquiry pulled up, because you have to enter in the date that you're desiring to do the birthday party. You enter in the birthday person's age, how many attendees, all of that information. So I entered that all in. She pulls it up and she's like, okay, June 20th is what you're looking at for the birthday date. And I said, yeah, June 20th at 2:00 is what I had put down. She was like, ooh, that's kind of like our busy time. And I was like, oh, okay. Do you want to do Sunday, June 21st? And she was like, actually, Sundays are even busier. So I said, okay. Do you want to do like first thing in the morning? Would that be better? And she was like, actually, you know what? That could work. June 20th at 10:00. We can do like 10 to 11:30, 11:45-ish. And that should work really well. And I was like, oh, okay, perfect. So I was like, that's wonderful. I didn't really anticipate doing like a brunch thing, but we can make that work. So I was like, okay, 10:00 on June 20th. She said, you're going to have to come in to sign the agreement. And I said, okay, basically it's like a contract. And so I said, okay, can I do it online? And she was like, no, we have to have you come to the store to do it. I said, oh, okay, fine. It's a half hour away from me, but let me see what I can do. So I'm like looking at my schedule, and I had childcare for my youngest for today because I had to volunteer for field day. As a whole thing. So I was like, how about June 12th at 1:30 to sign the contract? And she was like, yep, that's perfect. Our manager will be here. Here's his name. He will be here at 1:30 and you can sign the agreement. I'll make sure he has all of this information. I said, okay, great. So like I left that conversation feeling like June 20th at 10:00 would be the day of the party. And I'm coming in on June 12th at 1:30 to sign the agreement. So cool. So today comes, it's June 12th, and something in me was like, call them first to just make sure, because like you haven't heard from them. You've already had to reach out to them about the party. Like just reach out. So I called to confirm, and the girl that picks up was like, yep, the manager so-and-so will be here at 1:30. So he'll see you anytime this evening, is what she said. Those were her words. And I was like, oh, no. 1:30 was the time that I had discussed with the gal on the phone. Like 1:30, we're good, right? And she was like, yep, 1:30 is when he gets here. And I was like, okay, great. I'll be there at 1:30. So I get there at 1:40. It was like 10 minutes after. And I get there and I'm waiting, and finally he comes and introduces himself to me and brings me back to like kind of like the salon booking area. And he asks me on my way there, like, have you heard about the birthday parties? And I said, yeah, I saw something on TikTok. Like my sister showed me. The vibes immediately were like, I don't know, like I should have trusted my intuition, because I just felt like it was not going to be good. So anyway, so he takes me back there, and then he pulls up, gets on his computer, pulls out the sheet like with all the details, and he's looking at it and he says June 20th. And I said, yeah, June 20th at 10:00. Like that's what the girl and I talked about. He goes, oh, that's it's like a week away. And I was like, well, yeah, but you know, so just so you know, I did reach out like on May 14th to initiate this and inquire it. It wasn't until I called you guys that I was actually able to set solidify anything at all. And he was like, oh, well, yeah, there's a learning curve. And the way he said it was like kind of like, to me, there was a learning curve, like as if to say like I was the one with the learning curve. And I was like, okay, all right, first thing that kind of like threw me off. And I said, okay, I mean, had I known, I would have like reached out even sooner. I would have called sooner. And he goes, yeah, we always recommend that you call. And I was like, okay, well, I did call. I understand that you're just recommending it. Like I did call, but okay, like I would have called sooner, had like the email maybe said something like, if you don't hear from a beauty associate, to call sooner, like than 2 weeks after, whatever. And so I'm like not trying to get emotional about this, but it was just such a terrible experience. So then he proceeds to like say he needs a manager there at the birthday party along with a beauty associate. Fair. And then he's looking at his schedule and he's like, I don't have a manager here on Saturday, June 20th. And I was like, oh, why'd the girl tell me that June 20th was the day then, like 10:00 on June 20th? And he said, I don't have her here that day. And I was like, okay, I don't, like, what can we do? And he said, typically the way that we do things is we'll have you call to inquire, or like call about the birthday party, come in a week later and you'll sign the agreement. And then a week later is typically the birthday party. And I'm thinking to myself, is that not the timeline here? Like I called you guys on June 3rd. It's now June 12th. June 20th was the day. Like I followed that, and I understand that you can't, like, if you don't have a manager there that day, you don't have a manager there. It was more of just like him deflecting all like the blame of this situation not working out on me.
And I'm like not the kind of person that's like the customer is always right, because like I've worked in retail, I've worked in customer service, I get it. Like people can be annoying, but I even said to him, I'm not trying to be that person, but like had I known all of this, like I wouldn't have driven up here today for nothing, right? Like I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have wasted any of our time. And he was so rude, like so condescending, belittling, just straight up like he painted me as this Karen in his mind, I think, and then just like ran with it, because he was never apologetic, did not apologize once to be like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like had he been like, then he drops this is our second birthday party. And I thought to myself, I can tell, because not only are you not organized, but like you've got no sense of like, I'm shaking right now, no sense of like the fact that like, had you had any organization, had you had any like protocol of how the birthday parties work or go, then maybe like both of our times could not be wasted right now. But I didn't. I stood there and just like dumbfounded at the fact that like this person is speaking to me the way that he is, with no regard to like empathy, compassion, like for the situation. Mind you, like the birthday party is in a week from tomorrow it's supposed to be. So I said, what else can we do? He goes, well, I can do, the manager's here on June 19th. I said, okay, June 19th, what time? He gives me the time, and I'm like, okay, I'm like thinking about it in my head, because I've got 2 other kids. It's a Friday instead of a Saturday. So my husband works on Friday, so I don't have anyone to watch the kids. So I'm like thinking to myself, okay, like how can I make that work? And then I was like, he said, we can do the following weekend, but I'm going to be out of town. So like that didn't work. And then the weekend after that is 4th of July. So like all of this stuff is running through my mind, on top of the fact that he is being super condescending and rude. And so I was like, okay, so June 19th, can I see if like the other attendees can make it for that date, and can I sign for today and sign the agreement for June 19th, and then I can call you and like confirm it solidly. And he was like, no, you'll have to come back. I was like, I work, or I was like, I live a half an hour from here. Like I have 3 kids. Like I know that's like my own stuff, but like you can't do anything. And he was like, yeah, I live 45 minutes from here, 45 minutes here, 45 minutes back. So I get it. No apology, no empathy, nothing. I was like, at that point, I walked away and I was like, I will not be doing the birthday party here. And honestly, I don't know if I could ever shop at an Ulta after that. I don't expect anything from them other than just like some compassion and understanding, basic human reaction to something like this miscommunication, and that never happens.
To a bridal shop this weekend, and the owner acted like a sleazy car salesman. So I went to this off-the-rack shop with my mom, and their claim to fame is like, we have like over 100 dresses in your size that you can walk right out with no alterations needed. So when I walk in, they measure my waist and only my waist, and they say, okay, you can shop in this section. There's over 150 gowns in your size. You can leave, no alterations needed. They'll all fit you, no clamps needed. And mind you, this section had dresses between the sizes of 4 to 12, which is a very large range, and the majority of the dresses I tried on would have needed alterations in the bust, in the hips, definitely would all need hems. And so it's kind of misleading for them to say like 150 dresses in your size when maybe only like 30 to 40 were actually my size, and the rest still would have needed alterations, which bridal alterations are very expensive. So I chose like 12 dresses to try on, and as I'm trying one on, my mom and I are talking about the hem, because I'm like, okay, we definitely need to hem it. It had this lace applique, and we're like, okay, if you cut off the bottom, do you lose this detail? And the owner walked in to check on us at that time, and so my mom asked him, hey, if you hem this, do you know what happens to the lace? And he's like, well, I'm not an alteration specialist. I only sell the dresses. And the way he said it was just so disrespectful to my mom. And I was like, there are kinder ways to say that. Please don't disrespect my mother. So I already like started to get an icky feeling. And then at one point, the bridal associate told us that she works 12-hour days sometimes without a break. And I was like, that sounds like a lawsuit waiting to happen. But overall, I just didn't feel like my dress was there, any of the dresses that I tried on. So we walked to the front without a dress, and the owner kind of like cornered us and guilted us into tipping the bridal associate, which I might just be naive. I didn't know you're supposed to tip them. I picked out all my own dresses, so she didn't help style me. I put them all on myself. She maybe helped zip up a handful of them. I didn't leave with the dress. Let me know in the comments if we are supposed to tip them, because I could be completely wrong. So we tip her, we walk into the lobby, and the owner is sitting there at the desk, and he's like, so what's next? Your wedding is coming up soon. You're really not going to be able to find a dress in this time frame. And I was like, yeah, I'm not quite sure. And he's like, no, seriously, what's next? Like, you tried on so many dresses in your size that you could have gone home with. You're making like a mistake not buying any of these dresses. This was your last resort. And it just gave me this like sleazy salesman trying to instill this sense of urgency, like buy now or it's going to be gone. Planning a wedding is stressful enough. Trying on wedding dresses is stressful enough. I do not want to feel pressured to buy a dress because it's my only option. Many people, this place has great reviews. Many people have bought dresses for great rates. I just left there with this really icky feeling.
So there's this couple that started coming into my work, like, I guess like 6 months ago now. It's a man and a wife, like, you know, really confusing because they have gray hair, but they don't look old. But they're like middle-aged, like 40s, 50s. And they started coming in about 6 months ago. And at first I was like, you know, cause I'm a server. So I was like, okay, she's very severe. I don't know how else to describe her. Like, she's not an emotional person. She's not a smiley person, okay? She's, you know, very prim and proper, and she, like, stands up straight and puts her nose up in the air, and, you know, very severe looking woman. Like, she just looks irritated all the time. I don't know how to describe it, like, how her face is. Like, she has a resting bee face. Her husband's really quiet, but he's super nice. And, like, the first couple times I waited on them, I thought, it's okay, like, I'm gonna get her, I'm gonna butter her up, I'm gonna make her like me eventually. I've had this happen with customers throughout the years, you know, where they were like really hostile in the beginning, and then I kind of break them, and that did not happen with this woman. So I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go through this story because I was waiting on something TikTok worthy, and man, this sure is. So they come in today and they sit in my section. Now I was like, oh man, they probably didn't know they sat in my section, because the last couple times I've had this woman, like I said, I've been trying to butter her up. I've been trying to be very nice. I'm always very professional with how I do my job. I'm not one of these servers that stand there and tell you their whole life story and go through some spiel. Like, I'm not, you know, one of those type of servers, but I try to be nice and hospitable, like, but anyway, so, and I've never, here's the thing, this is what really, I've never messed up their food. Like, I've never messed up their food. So, like, I can understand why she would fucking hate me with such a passion, right? If I had messed up their food or their order or whatever, but that's just not the case. So, this is why I have to get meta glasses, because I wish for the life of me. Oh my God. I wish for the life of me that I had meta glasses today, because I would make a million views on this interaction. So, they sit in my section. I come up. This is her, right? I'm coming up. What can I get you to drink? Waters. Okay, we're off to a great start. She, like, refuses to speak to me. It's really weird. It's like she has to, like, force herself, because I'm standing there, to speak to me. So, like, it takes a second for her to, like, register, because she can't stand the person that I am so much that, like, she's infuriated that I even come over to the table, right? So, and that's how she is every time. Every time. Like, she's infuriated that I'm coming up to her at a fucking full-service restaurant. But anyway, so I bring their waters, take their order. Oh, scrambled, bacon, deep fried, no potatoes, white toast. I mean, she's so, like, angry. She's so angry that she has to, like, tell me her order. Oh my God. Oh. Anyway, so I get their order, I take their food out. Well, when the food comes up in the window, I point specifically to that plate and I say, is this the deep fried bacon? Has this bacon been deep fried? Because it looked questionable to me too, to be honest, if it was deep fried. And the cook, who's a very good cook, I trust him, he was like, yeah. So I took it out, and she's like, keep in mind I had a full section, you know what I mean? She's like, this bacon is not deep fried. And I was like, okay, no worries. Like, I rush over to get the plate. I put the bacon on the plate. I take it back. I said, can you deep fry this bacon again? She said, it's not deep fried enough. I take it back out, and I say, I'm so sorry about that. Just slams it down like that. She literally shoos me away. So I go take care of my other tables, because I'm like, you know what? Fine. I give up. But I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play the game where I now become a bad server because you're acting like you're annoyed that I exist. So I'm going to keep coming up here, and I'm going to keep refilling your water, and I'm going to ask you if everything's okay. So this is after I took the second bacon. This was the reaction. So I come up to her, and I'm like, I come up to them, and I'm like, is everything okay? Stand there. Don't say anything, right? But I'm like, no, I am not walking away until you acknowledge me and say something to me. You wanted your bacon deep fried again. It's deep fried again. You can speak to me. I'm a human. So I'm not just going to walk off with you not saying anything to me, right? So I stood there for an extra second, and she goes, we're fine. Like that. I went back over and I told my boss, I said, this is the last time that I ever wait on this woman, that I ever wait on her or him. And I have never in all of my years refused to wait on people, but I refuse, okay? I've done nothing to you. I've been over backwards to be nice and kind. So this is the kicker. So I'm taking care of my other tables. They're sitting there. I'm refilling their waters. I'm refilling the waters, baby. You need an extra ice cube. And like, I wasn't doing it obnoxiously, but I did do it. Like, even though I knew she didn't want me to. Like, I did do it. And I knew she wouldn't want me to like touch her glass to refill it. So I even brought her like a new water. Sure did. Absolutely. Didn't say a word, but I was being pleasant and bringing them all their stuff. You're not going to, you know, bully me out of doing my job so you can then say that I'm a terrible waitress, because honey, that ain't it. So I already done told my boss, I'm like, I'm never taking this woman again. She's rude. She's hostile to me. I've never done anything to her. I have no idea what her problem is, but we can solve it today, because this will be the last time. I don't care if I'm the last waitress that's there. I don't care if it costs me my job. I won't bring you an ice cube. So anyway, they had a plate of food sitting on their table still. They were just sitting there, literally 10 minutes with the fucking plate of food on their table. So I go over and I'm like, would you like a box for that? She's like, we're not done with that. Don't take that. I said, oh, I was just seeing if you liked a box. I wasn't going to take it. And I mean, and then, you know, the older lady who's worked there for like years and years, she's friendly with her. At the end, she's like, have a good weekend. Oh my God. Like, when I say that this woman absolutely despises me, like if we were alone in a room, she would want a fist fight, and I'd be here for it. Because you know what, you know, and this is where I struggle as a Christian, because I don't know why this woman doesn't like me, but I'm taking it. It is personal. It has nothing to do with the food. It has nothing to do with the service. It has to do with me. I offend her for some reason, and I'm glad. And for whatever reason you were offended, hopefully it's the Holy Spirit on me, or I don't know, the fact that I'm not a mutant, but whatever it is that you were offended about, lady, I would gladly do it again in Jesus' name. Oh, and the other thing that I added that I cannot leave out of this video about this woman, it doesn't matter if the entire restaurant is full, front and back. It doesn't matter. Just like today, it doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how busy we are. The second you put her order in, like 30 seconds after you put her order in, she's looking around like, God forbid it be 5 minutes. God forbid. I'm so scared.
I got fired for the first time in my career a couple months ago, and enough time has passed and I've processed it enough and gone through all the legal steps that I now want to talk about it. So it's quite the long story. There's a lot of moving parts and variables, so you don't have to watch, but yeah, I just want to get it out there. So I was contacted probably 4 or 5 months ago by one of my past clients. She was a friend and a client, and one of my first sales. I got her the property over multiple offers, and it was a good sale. There was nothing, you know, it was great. Everything's great. Everything's great. And so she contacted me out of nowhere. You know, we talk here and there, but I didn't know she was going to sell. And she said, hey, you know, we're getting ready to move across the water. And if it's possible, I'd like to sell my home off market. I really don't want to go through the listing process. Can you help me with that? I said, of course. So she had already identified a buyer. I knew said buyer. We all know each other. We're all really good people, or so I thought. And so I was going to be representing her with a seller representation agreement. And said buyer was going to be unrepresented. I was going to do all the paperwork. Great. So about a week before we were actually going to put together the purchase and sale agreement and get under contract off market, start the inspection process, yada, yada, said seller calls me and she says, hello, Miss Agent, we have a problem. There is a major leak coming from my washing machine, and I don't know how significant it is. I don't know how long it's been going on, but I think you should know this. Now, anyone that's an agent knows once they are told a material defect like that, that there is something like that going on, we cannot keep that a secret. That needs to be disclosed to a buyer, to if it's going live on the MLS, it needs to be disclosed. So I said, okay, no problem, Miss Seller. Let's get some contractors in there. Let's get some bids going. Let's see the significance of the damage. Let's see if there's anything concealed. You know, moisture damage is a huge issue. Let's get these bids before we go under contract with a buyer, and we're able to actually give them a number to go off of, you know, cost to repair, or you can decide as a seller if you're going to repair it. Let's just go from there. Let's get the bids. So I give her a list of, you know, 3 or 4 contractors. She calls them and makes the appointments. I am communicating with the contractors. I'm local. I know all of these people and I work with them every single day. So the final number for the repairs needed on this manufactured home that is not in good condition anyway is upwards of 35 grand. We don't know how long the machine has been leaking. There is moisture damage to 3 rooms. They didn't pull up the flooring, but they have no idea what concealed damage is in the subfloor. Like, it's a lot of damage. Okay, so Miss Seller wants to walk away, wipe her hands clean, not take care of the damage. She wants buyer to take care of the damage. I get permission to share the bids with the buyer. He's okay with taking it on. He owned a construction business. Everything's fine. But of course, because we know of this damage and we've now disclosed it to the buyer, he doesn't want to pay the price that we first discussed, not with 35K of damage. So Miss Seller and I get to talking about a price that would work for both parties. You know, her parents are involved. She's a trust fund kid. They bought the house for her. So we're on group calls with the parents, with the seller. You know, we're trying to make this work. All of a sudden I get a text and it says, hello, if we are going to list the house, which what? I thought we're doing this off-market sale that we've been working on for months. But okay, if we're going to list this house, can we use the old pictures from the old listing? No, sweetheart, that is a misrepresentation of the home and it sounds like you're trying to hide the damage. And so I tell her that, but you know, a little bit more gentle and not as sarcastic because I wasn't pissed at this point. The next text I get is firing. She has decided to list the home with another agent from across the water, no local connections. And yeah, that's it. And my response to the random text firing is this because I said we have to disclose the damage? Fast forward like 2 weeks. The listing comes on the market with random agent from across the water who, by the way, seller has told me via text that this agent is well aware of the damage and still was okay pricing her property extremely high. Okay, if that's the case, why on the seller disclosure are you guys not disclosing that there's any repairs needed? Why, when we took the time over the last month to get 3 bids, and this has been a huge discussion between all parties, why is there nothing about it on the disclosure or in the listing? So the next thing that happens is really funny. My broker, the owner of my brokerage basically says, hey, we are in this weird position now because we are aware of the damage there is. We're aware that it's not disclosed. Let's email the agent's broker. So we email the agent's broker. We let them know that we know what's going on, that they are trying to hide the damage and that the agent is aware. We let them know that this is a very small town and I am likely going to be the one to, 1, bring a buyer, 2, know the buyer, and be put in this weird position where I'm like, hey, how's that water damage going? And they're going to be like, what water damage? So the next part of the story is my friend posted on her Instagram, pending on X house, yay! And her sister is representing her and her wife in the transaction. So of course I text her and I'm like, hey girl, I see you're pending on this house. I just want to make sure you are aware that there is moisture damage. No, of course she's not aware. Of course she's not aware. Why would she be aware? There was nothing that said there was moisture damage anywhere. There's nothing that says the seller got 3 bids to try and repair the moisture damage. There's nothing. So my friend, shared my messages with her agent, who then shared the messages with the seller's new agent, and said, hey, we know there's bids and we know that there's damage. What's going on? This resulted in my friend getting a much better deal on the house with 35K worth of damage. Then the next thing I know, I'm getting hit with a cease and desist because, like I said, The seller is a trust fund baby. Her parents pay for anything. They have money to throw around. So they hit me with a cease and desist from a local attorney that I know. I grew up at his house. And the cease and desist basically says, hello, you are not allowed to contact the seller. You're not allowed to talk to anybody about the transaction. You had no permission to get bids. You had no permission to see the bids. Lucky for me, I have the most amazing broker in the world who very much has drilled it into my head to keep a communications file for every single transaction. So any piece of important information, anything pertinent to a transaction gets popped into my communications file. So what do I have in the file? All the messages between me and Miss Seller where we're discussing the damages, where she's begging me to get on the phone with the contractors to figure out why it costs so much. Literally, I have messages proving every statement she said wrong. So I provided the communications file, the entire thing, me and the contractors, me and seller, me and parents, me and the buyer that we had lined up, the firing text where I said, what the heck is this, because we have to disclose damage. Guess what? Silence. Silence for weeks. There was no reply. Moral of the story is don't be a corrupt broker. Walk away from sketchy sellers. And tell your friends when there's material defects being withheld from a listing that they are pending on. Because when it all comes down to it, what side of things do you want to be on? And yes, I have officially reported the seller's new random agent to the Department of Licensing because we provided her with all the bids. Seller told me that she was aware of all the repairs. A broker has so many obligations, one of them being to provide information that we know on a material defect to a home. A seller can withhold whatever they want. We cannot. Please make sure that you are hiring ethical brokers, especially in a very small town.
I ran away when I was 14. I did not live in a good environment. I had been taken away from my mom 3 times previously, and it was just a few months before that I was taken out of her care for a while. And I had to get out. And my mom and I were arguing for some reason. I don't even remember why or what started it. But I was like, I need to get out before she beats me again. Like, I have to get out. So I ran away, and I was trying to go to my friend's house. And at the time, I really didn't know how to get to her house. I had never driven there. I was 14. Everybody else had always taken me there. So I'm trying to walk to her house. This person stops where I'm at on the side of the road. It's like, hey, do you want to get in the car? I'll take you to wherever you're going. No, absolutely not. I'm not getting in the car with you. They're saying, I promise I won't kidnap you. No. But honestly, kidnapping probably would have been better than what I was going through at that point. The person seemed really nice, but I politely declined. No thanks. And I continue walking. I'm crossing very large intersections, trying to find my friend's house, and I never found it. So I go to a gas station. I call my grandma. I'm telling her what's going on. And my grandma, love her to death. She was very understanding. She was at my mom's house. So my mom was listening to this. So my mom calls the cops. I'm walking by my high school, and the cops see me. It was 2 cop cars. So they start following me. They stop, they get out of the car and come up to me asking who I am. And I tell them, and they're asking what I'm doing. And I'm like, oh, nothing. And they said, okay, well, we're going to call your parents to come pick you up. Please don't call my parents, please. And I was begging. I was like, y'all don't understand. Like, y'all cannot call my mom, please. They said, well, we have to, those are your parents. They have to come pick you up. So I sit in the back of the cop car waiting for my mom and my stepdad to come get me. And I'm upset because I know I'm going to get beat when I get home. Like, I'm going to get freaking dragged. So they come pick me up, go back home. It's dead silence in the car. I'm like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. My mom's not even saying anything. Like, this is really bad. Get home. I think it was so bad whenever I got home that I completely blocked it out of my memory because I have no idea what happened. I blocked it out. What I do know is that while I was sleeping that night, my mom busted up in my room on my phone, woke me up. It was the middle of the night, took a picture of me and posted it on my Snapchat story talking about how I'm a little bitch and all this other crazy stuff for everybody to see at school. Like, she put it on public story, like on the maps for everyone to see. On my public story, on the map, she sent it to people. So when I got to school the next day, I was literally like, I don't even know what to do. Everybody was asking, why did you send that? Why did you post that? I didn't. I swear I did not post that. And yeah, so I never ran away again after that. And I never even like told anybody how insane my mom was after that. Well, obviously now I do, but I just knew there was no help for me. I was stuck. There was nothing that I could do to get out of the situation that I was in. I was just going to have to take getting beat and dragged all the time until I could get out. And that's exactly what I had to do for how many more years after that? 5 more years. I had to do that. So, I mean, if you're thinking about running away, don't. It's not going to work. And if you're in an abusive environment, good luck.
They better give us some sort of warning or something before they ban this app, because I have way too many recipes saved on this app, and if I don't at least save them or try them and it just disappears, I'm gonna lose my
My parents should never have had me. Okay, an understatement. And I'm writing a book, and every time I get into it, I'm like, I'm reminded every time, like, why did they have me? So I'm gonna give you guys a quick synopsis. Okay, so I was born the youngest in a family of 3 girls, and my 2 older sisters were very, very sick. From the moment I was born, my parents knew they were sick. They still decided to have me. I was 6 years old in 1996, and my sister at that time needed a double lung transplant. So my parents decided got tested and were approved to donate a lobe of their own lung to my sister Lindsay. So for that period of time that my parents were going to be in St. Louis, I live in Massachusetts, St. Louis had the better success rate for transplant, so they did it there. I would have to live with my aunt and uncle and my cousins and my sister Ashley, who was the middle child. So her and I lived there, and it was not a great time. I did not enjoy it. I did not like it, and I write about that. I also want to be clear, this book isn't about my family story, and it's more so about glass child syndrome. So yeah, so anyways, I'm living there and it's not great, but whatever. The surgery is a success, and Lindsay at this time was pretty known in our local community and a little beyond. She was on the Gayle King show, because getting a lobe of lung from your parents each in 1996 was like a huge deal, and not a lot of, they might have been the first in the country or one of the first in the countries to have that surgery done. So she was on the Gayle King show. She threw out the first pitch at the Cardinals game, and yeah, all that jazz. So anyways, the surgery is a success. She comes home and everything is relatively normal. That is until 2000, around the year 2000, Ashley needed a double lung transplant. So now my parents are like, well, what are we gonna do? Because we already donated a lobe of lung to Lindsay and Ashley needs it. So 2 aunts were like, we will get tested. They got tested, they got approved. They were now going to get that surgery in California. Again, I live in Massachusetts at the time. And my mom was like, I'm just gonna go out there with Ashley, and I'm gonna bring Lindsay so that she can get the same treatment, and the 2 girls will just get homeschooled in California. So I had to stay and live with my father, and this was around, I think, middle schoolish, middle school time. I had severe acne. I also grew up in a really rich town, and we didn't have money, and so, like, the kids were fucking mean, and I was stuck with my cuckoo dad. So, yes, that was fun. All was great. I'm getting calls from my sisters being like, oh, yeah, you know, we're, like, loving the palm trees. We're hanging out with celebs, and I am wanting to die. So, anyways, that happens. Ashley gets her surgery, and all is great. They come home. I wake up in the middle of the night and my parents are screaming bloody murder. And me and Ashley, I come out of the bedroom, Ashley comes out of the bedroom, I look at her, she looks at me, and I'm like, what is going on? I am, the clouds are taking over, so now it's hard to see me, I'm sorry. But I look at her and I'm like frozen, because I'm young and I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I hear my mom screaming like I've never heard before. So finally she's like, come on, let's go. We run to my sister's, Lindsay's room, where the screams are coming from, and Lindsay is laying on the bed unconscious, and it looks like she has urinated herself. And we are just like, it's a blur. I'm like, what is happening? Oh my God, everyone's running around. And my mom and dad tell me and my sister to call 911. We call 911, they come. Lindsay had diabetes, so She was in a diabetic coma. We didn't know. My mom woke me up at, I think that was at like 3 a.m. My mom woke me up at 6 to be like, you gotta get ready for school. So I had to go to school and act like I didn't just see my sister almost die. Anyways, a couple months go by, and guess what? Lindsay needs a kidney transplant. So one of my aunts is like, she didn't donate lobes of lungs. She's like, I want to step up and donate a kidney. So she donates a kidney to my sister, Lindsay. Months go by, and I wake up to the beads on my door frame hitting. I don't know if anyone knows this, but back in the day, people would like hang a bunch of beads in their doorway of their bedroom as like a cool vibey thing. And I hear them just hitting back and forth. And I'm like, what is that? I wake up, Ashley is unconscious on my floor. And I'm like, wait, I've been here before. We saw this with Lindsay. Like, what's going on? I go wake up my mother. We have to call 911. They come, I still have to go to school the next day and act like nothing is going on. And a couple months later, Ashley needs a kidney transplant. Great, love that. The aunt that donated 2 lobes, a lobe of lung, ends up donating a kidney as well. So now she's like one of the first in the world, I think, to donate 2 organs living related. Crazy, very impressive. And, you know, I'm not close with my family, but appreciate that they donated. That is a very nice thing to do. But yeah, so that happens. And then, as this generally does in families, there is the, you know, financial strain from being sick, and just my mom and dad are not getting along because of all of this. And my dad is like, I'm out, pieces out. 16 years old, that guy is gone, done. Okay, cool. Not just gone though, like he goes actually crazy. So we had to experience that. But you know what? As long as everyone's living and not being dead on my bedroom floor, seemingly dead on my bedroom floor, I'm okay with that. He pieces out. Everything is somewhat good. We are good, right? Like, I am now about to get ready to go to college. Life's grand. I am transferring out of my original college to one out of state because I was like, I gotta peace out. I'm hearing my sister Ashley cough. Now, remember, Ashley got a double lung transplant in California in 2000. She got sick in 2000. She got it done in 2001. So I'm hearing her cough. The year is now 2011. And I'm like, but you know what? They have no immune system, and CF kids get sick. So I just assumed she just got pneumonia or something. So I travel out of state. I did this for a boy, and I also wanted to peace out because I was like overwhelmed with everything. And I'm in school, blah, 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 blah. Ashley, I get a call from my mom, and the news is in. Ashley needs a redo double lung transplant. Okay, that's horrible. I also didn't explain this, and I explained this in other videos. Ashley's like my best friend. Ashley's the middle child. She like pretty much raised me. So they're like, she needs a redo. At this point though, I'm like, it's gonna be fine because everything has always been fine. Like, eventually they all get transplants and everything is all good. So I'm like, well, that's crazy. Like, they also don't do living related, i.e. someone donating anymore because of insurance and everything. So she has to wait on a list. So I'm like, okay, where is she waiting? And my mom's like, we're going to bring her to Cleveland. Okay, cool. I am, again, like I said, away at school. She's in Cleveland. We're Skyping. One morning, I get a call from my mom, and they're like, well, we had to put her in an induced coma because all of her other organs were starting to struggle, and lungs were just not coming in, so she's in a coma, and I think you should fly here because we don't know if she's gonna come out of it. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, it was awful because I had just been Skyping with her, and Skype, for people that don't know, is what FaceTime is now. I was just Skyping with her like 2 days ago. So I get there, and it wasn't her, and she ends up dying on June 14th of 2012. So it was awful, still awful. But, you know, I had to kind of continue on because my mom was going to be broken, Lindsay was going to be broken, and I just had to remain the strong, healthy one. So everything, you know, is awful, but we continue on as you do, unfortunately, after someone passes. And a year later, I get the news that Lindsay's transplanted kidney is rejecting. So she needs a redo kidney transplant. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm old enough at this point. I am going to donate. I'm not ready to lose a second sister, so let me just donate this organ to her. I do. It's a success. It's fine. I literally got like I was back in school 3 days later. Like, my family was like, you're fine, it's a kidney, like, it's not that big of a deal. So anyways, that happened, and it was all good. A year later, in 2015, it was September. I can't sleep. Like, I literally cannot sleep. I feel like my blood is on fire, and I'm just like, what the fuck is happening? So I wake up to what I believe is my alarm, and I'm like, wow, I just have not slept. But it was my aunt. I'm like, why is my aunt calling me at 6 in the morning? So I answer the phone, and she says I need to get to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, and Lindsay and sorry, my dog is coming up. And Lindsay died. She was in a diabetic low in the hospital, and I guess they thought she was sleeping, and yes, she passed away. So I am the only one left standing. And I gotta be honest with you, there's a lot of missing. That's just the synopsis. Yeah, my parents should have had me.
If you notice that Susie's a little melancholy today, it's because her cat died last night. Charlotte hit me on the playground today. I'm so melancholy about it. Do you ever feel so melancholy about being melancholy?
All right, story time on how I slept through my son's birth. So this is for all the people that wanted more details. I'll just start from the beginning. I got the call, it was 2 months ago, beginning of April, for my induction, and in the hospital room is me, my husband, my sister, and my cousin, who's like my sister. And I was GBS positive, so the first thing they did was blood work, IV, and antibiotics, and then they didn't do anything until I was properly covered with the antibiotics, because I do have a history of delivering fast. My labors are actually longer, but this time around I was already 3 centimeters. My cervix was really thin, and they just didn't want to risk anything. So they covered me with the antibiotics first, and then they broke my water a few hours later, and they started Pitocin after they broke my water. So I remember actually being surprised by how fast my contractions got bad this time, because they'd never gotten that bad that fast, and they were also pairing together, and baby was not in a good position, so it was just really uncomfortable labor. And I remember just thinking, like, it's never been this bad, has it? And so we called in for the epidural, and we get it done. I'm excited, honestly, because my epidurals have always worked really fast, but then 30 minutes go by and I still feel everything, and then an hour goes by and I still feel everything. So I kind of started to panic, and my nurse suggests that I push the button that they give you. So I pushed that. I can still feel quite, like, I'm still in a lot of pain, probably mostly because of baby's positioning too. And she has me push it again. I think I pushed it like a total of like 3 times, maybe. I don't remember exactly how much because I was on laughing gas, but I pressed it quite a few times at her instruction, obviously. And finally, I don't feel anything. I'm comfortable. I'm really happy that I didn't have to have it replaced, because who wants to have it replaced? That sucks. And I fall asleep. I think it was like probably like 5 a.m. at this point. And she comes in, I think it's like, by the time we found him, it was like almost 7. So she probably came in at like 6:50 a.m. And she starts looking for him on the monitor. She's kind of trying not to wake me, but she's letting me know she's there. And I'm not really paying much attention to it because she's already been in a few times to adjust the monitor. My baby just liked to move a lot. So she's looking for his heartbeat, and there comes a point where, you know, they've been looking for the heartbeat long enough that you start to get concerned. And if you've ever been in that situation, you know, like, after a certain amount of minutes, you're like, okay, what's going on? So I start to really wake up, because I was awake because she was messing with me, but I wasn't fully awake until this point where I was like, hey, what do you need? Like, I was on my side, so do you want me on my back? Do you want me on the other side? Like, do you want me to sit up? What do you want from me? Just to find baby faster. And so she's like, no, he's here, let me just find him. So she's still looking for him. And then I really start to panic. And I'm like, okay, like I'm just gonna lay on my back. And she agrees, like, just lay on your back, we'll find him. When I turn on my back, her hands are still on my stomach, and that's when she points out that my stomach feels really weird. I, like, now looking back at it, obviously, yeah, my stomach was empty, so it was gonna feel really weird, but in that moment, I don't know why, I just thought, oh, like, my baby's dead. Like, she said that to me, and I was like, oh, my baby's dead. And so I'm kind of like focusing on that, and then I'm trying to adjust my legs also because I just turned over. And when I go to adjust my legs, I'm like, hey, I feel something on the bed. So she lifts up the blanket. I swear, I thought it was gonna be like my placenta or my uterus had popped out, or I never thought it was going to be my baby. And she lifts up the blanket, and my son is face down under all of my blankets. I had at least 3, and partially under my legs. He's face down, he's not crying, and I just panic. I freak out. Obviously, you see a baby and he's not crying, and he's probably been there for like several minutes under blankets, under you. Like, that's everything a newborn shouldn't be. So I was really scared. I was actually really, really scared. I didn't think he was alive. Like 2 minutes ago, I thought that she was going to tell me that my baby had no heartbeat and we need to get him out in a C-section. And now I'm thinking, well, my baby's out, but he's not alive. So I was really scared. She picks him up. She starts rubbing him. I am screaming. I screamed at my husband. This part isn't recorded because my husband's the one that started recording the video. Once he woke up, I scream at my husband to wake up. He finally wakes up, and I just go blank. Like, I have no idea what's happening. I'm so confused. I'm looking at everybody. You can see me. I'm like looking at everybody to make sure everybody's aware of what's happening and that they're seeing it too. My husband's recording because he I still think about his face to this day because he looks so happy. Like, he's just proud dad moment. Like, he had no idea what was happening. He thought he missed the birth. He didn't realize we all missed the birth. So he's just recording. He's happy-go-lucky. And to his defense, I told everybody in that room, I was like, no matter what, just record. Once I'm about to have the baby, record. I want to see everything. That's always what I tell them. Like, I love birth. I love babies. And I mean, when you're giving birth yourself, you don't get to see. So I always tell everybody, like, record everything. I want to see everything. I want it for my memories. So he pulled out his phone. He starts recording. The video is so short. That's literally the length of the video because he realized that I wasn't okay, like, once he kind of came to, and he stopped recording. But yeah, so it was really scary. Even after she got him crying, I don't think I even really processed that he was okay for like until basically we were discharged. And even after that, I was watching him like a hawk. Like, I was so sure something bad was gonna happen. I was just fully traumatized. And you know what? I was laying on my side. Like, I think about this all the time. If I had been laying facing the other way, he would have fallen off the bed because there was no room the other way. Like, I had just flipped over not that long ago because I know I was flipping from side to side. I was just so uncomfortable from my weight on my arms and my side, like where I could still feel stuff. So I kept flipping over. If I had been facing the other way, there would have been no room on the bed and he would have just fallen off, which is really scary. And you know what? I had the most amazing nurse. She was so nice. She was so calm. Even, like, I could see the shock and the fear in her eyes, but she was so calm. And she really was just, oh my, I cannot say enough nice things about her because she made everything just so much less dramatic by her being that calm and knowing everything that she had to do. She was doing it without gloves on too. I feel so bad because she was just covered in everything, just rubbing baby, clamping the cord, you know, getting everybody else in to help. That room filled up so fast, like so fast. And then, yeah, I had a bed baby. That's what they called him, a bed baby. I didn't even know that was a thing, but there he was. We had no idea he had been born for like the first at least 6 minutes of his life, maybe a little bit more. Like they think he was born probably like right when they lost him on the monitor, because I do deliver really fast, like really fast. I have a really strong fetal ejection reflex, and it only took her like a minute or two to come in, so she probably would have noticed if he'd been born while she was in the room. So we do think it was like about 6 or 7 minutes that he was under the blankets before we even knew he was there, which is crazy. He's the calmest baby, which explains why he didn't cry, but I mean, absolutely insane. I'm so happy he's okay. That epidural was way too strong. Also, I forgot to mention that he was 8 pounds 11 ounces and no tears at all for the 3rd time. Thank you, Lord.